Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. I am Candace Marie, thanks for joining me. Happy Friday the 13th, ooh, spooky. I didn't even realize that until I looked at the date. Thank you guys for joining me. We're doing live tarot readings this evening. Give you guys a little bit of time for people to kind of pop in and see that we're going live. Hopefully you guys are doing well, kicking off your weekend. Wonder how many people are going to be watching scary movies tonight, huh? So we're going to be doing donation-based tarot readings this evening. If you're new to my channel, welcome. We alternate every other weekend. We either do tarot or astrology. So this week is going to be tarot. If you'd like to get a reading and you want to get in the queue and make a donation, you can click the QR code right down here, scan it with your phone if you're watching from a laptop or from a screen. It's going to take you directly to my PayPal where you can make a donation. Donations are $20 for one card, $40 for a 3-card spread. If you guys want to tip or be generous, you're welcome to do that as well. And that's how you're going to be able to get into the queue. In the memo, please put your name if it differs from your YouTube name, and please put any information that you want in regards to a question. Please be specific. Also, we're going to be answering one question per person. Unless you want to get a couple of different questions, you guys can do that as well. And as always, big thank you to all of my members, all my subscribers. Thank you guys for supporting the channel, especially all of you guys that are level 2 and 3 for my memberships. Everybody like Paula, Barbara Smith, Christine, Patricia, Sarah, Coco, Maui, Catherine Murray, Claudia, Tiara, Stephanie, Angela, Flowing Through the Pines, Willow, Emma, Susan H, Miss Fogel, Jackie, Hera Zed, Nancy Celerito, Jessica Martinez, Susan Wexler. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you guys like my content, if you guys like my horoscopes, my Sunday videos, all the other content that I've been putting out there, you can join my memberships as a way of being able to support the channel. I don't have a Patreon or anything like that. I'm doing it all through YouTube. So if you guys like my content, please do consider donating for a reading or subscribing. Also, giving me a thumbs up during the stream is super helpful. It's going to help with the algorithm and get this out there and recommended on YouTube. So if you're watching and you just want to hang out, totally cool. You can hang out and watch the readings, but do make sure that you drop a comment below, say hello, and give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. How's everybody doing in the chat? Let me take a look at who we've got in the queue already. But if you're a member of level 3 and you want to get a reading, let me know. Anybody who joins level 3, if you guys want to join tonight, you're automatically going to get a 3-card spread. You get one reading once a month, so you can ask a question in regards to tarot or astrology, and you don't have to wait. So sometimes if you guys join me during the astrology lives, it could be 2 hours before I get to your chart. But if you actually join memberships and you become a member, you don't have to wait. So if there's any level 3 people here, let me know. I would love to be able to give you your monthly reading. This is the second live that we're doing in the month of January. We're gonna have a couple more. We got 2 more weeks. So if you guys don't cash in on it now, you can come back and cash in on it later. Oh, that's a very Friday the 13th card. I'm looking at the screen. All right, so if we don't have anybody, then we're gonna go ahead and get to the queue. This is in order, so I appreciate your guys' patience. We're going to do the readings in the order that they were received. And just so you guys know, if you're checking out, like if you're subscribed to my channel and you're following my community tab, I'm always going to post the link, usually a day or 2 before. So if you guys ever want to get in early and put in your question, you can. All these people managed to kind of do that earlier today. I've got Susan P, Wendy K, Kayla, Vanessa L, and Austin M. You guys are going to be the first ones that I'm going to be reading for this evening. What's up, Ultraviolet? How's your Friday going? So I will be starting first with Susan. I don't know if Susan's here live or if she's going to come and watch this later. That's what she did last time. So I'm just going to say, hello, Susan. How's it going? Susan says, it's me again. This building that she's in has become a nightmare. Way over budget, and your business partner is acting weird. I feel like I might get screwed. I swear, like selling out my horses and everything and moving and starting over. I'm so disheartened. I really need a full reading. Okay, so they gave me the partner's info, February 23rd, 58. I know he's a Cap rising since he knows. Okay, so it's not necessarily a romantic interest. I'm trying to understand what this says. Full reading. Partner's date of birth. So is this your romantic partner or your business partner? Since he knows I don't share his romantic interest. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so business partner. Got it. Thank you, Maria. I will get you. I'll add you to my queue. So let's see what the cards say in terms of what's going on with this budget. Dealing with the business partner, which seems a little tricky. What the cards might recommend. It sounds like it's a little sticky potentially if there's some romantic interest there. But for those of you guys who are Scorpio risings, Saturn going through the 4th, yes, you're dealing with all kinds of stuff in regards to property and home and stuff. The squares to Uranus in the 7th can be challenging with relationships, especially if money is involved, business or romantic. But you're almost through it. Once we get into March and Saturn changes signs, things are going to get much easier. All right, so let's see what the cards say for you, Susan. All right, so in this order, we've got the Strength card, the King of Wands, the Strength card, and the Hermit. Interesting. Strong and silent in terms of his feelings and his emotions. Definitely there can be somebody who's a little bit in their feelings because the romantic interest is not reciprocated, right? The King of Wands, this can be talking about somebody who's a little spicy, somebody who can have a tendency to want to focus on action, right? This is the element of fire. So the King of Wands is somebody who wants to see things taking place, coming together, creating things. There can also be a sense of just like snippiness or like a temper, or somebody who's feeling like they want to kind of strong arm the situation. You may feel like he's just more, just more short-tempered right now, basically, with this card coming up. The King of Wands followed by the Strength card also talks about like a really strong presence revolving around like Leo or the sun or transits to their sun or anything in regards to that timeline. Okay, so it's referencing changes that might be actually coming, especially closer to July and August. I know as a Scorpio rising, you're going to have a Venus retrograde in your 10th house. That'll be the summer. So I think it's also kind of referencing this, that's a time where there's going to be some major changes in regards to your career. The King of Wands in the Strength card makes me feel like he's really trying hard to kind of contain his feelings. I'm not necessarily going to say emotions, but his feelings in regards to what's going on with the business. The Strength card can also be talking about dealing with ego issues or anything in regards to feeling like he just wants to kind of take control. The Strength card is a positive card though, because it does talk about the awareness of not pushing a situation and like letting something kind of come together on its own terms. Keep in mind, she doesn't have the lion in on like a headlock, right? There is a sense of being like, okay, I'm just going to kind of keep moving along and see if it, kind of comes to me. And it can also be a situation that can get very dangerous, or it can get complicated or complex because you're dealing with something that is wild. So I think he realizes that if you guys were to have tension or conflict, it could potentially be like a big deal. So there's a sense of him trying to kind of cool his jets maybe, and kind of focusing on long-term planning and not reacting, and doing the best that he can in terms of being able to see this through, especially coming into the summer months, okay? But for whatever reason, the King of Wands, when that's coming up with the Strength card, it does talk about like Leo-related energy. So you're saying, he's a Pisces. Does he have anything in Leo? You don't know his rising sign. Oh, he's a Cap rising. So Leo is going to be for him. I'm trying to think. Sorry, that's going to be his, sixth house? So that makes me feel like there's something going on in regards to just changes that's going to happen with like his schedule. Oh, there she is. No. Okay. So it doesn't matter. There's something here that's either talking about either his feelings in the matter in regards to business and trying to kind of contain what could be his interests, his emotions, his feelings, and trying not to like overreact. Okay. So maybe the cool, calm, and collected, hi, here's the Hermit, is reflecting on things before he blows up the situation or before he creates a big like dramatic conflict or like a fight. To be honest with you, these are really positive cards. So it does seem to indicate that if it's not him that you're going to be dealing with, it may be another person that's coming in to kind of help mend the situation and help you guys through the process of having what could be some challenges. But it is inevitable. If you are a Scorpio rising, because Venus rules your 7th house of partnerships and it will go retrograde in your 10th, there is going to be like a changing of partners, changing of the guard, changing in the direction that you're going with in terms of your professional life. So this can also be other people who come in that want to do some kind of work with you, okay? This can be romantic interest as well. So the fact that you kind of snuck in there that he has an interest perhaps, but you don't, is him trying not to take it personally, right? Because you've got the ego of the Strength card and like the romance and all that energy. And then you've got, boom, the Hermit card, which is like, oh, you're not accepting my advances? Okay, great, I'm gonna go into Hermit mode. And he can kind of be in his head a little bit. But once again, this is talking explicitly about the time period of July and August, right when we're going out of Leo into Virgo. The Hermit card, reflection, taking time alone, you know, thinking about things. Maybe perhaps he thought that if he came in and he was this guy that was going to work with you and kind of win you over and like be very successful and creative, or somebody who was doing a lot of work in regards to the partnership and the business, that you would be interested in him, right? Because you would see him as like the person who comes in and like saves the day, or you would see him as the person that you admire because of everything that he was able to kind of create. And I think he's maybe realizing that that's not the case. Notice how the colors go from getting really warm, which is about livelihood and excitement and attraction, to all of a sudden they get dull when you get to the Hermit card. So yeah, he's pulling back, but I think he's pulling back because his ego's a little bruised, because I think he thought that he was going to be able to kind of win you over. Maybe he's realizing that that's not the case. But this is also saying that it's important, because look at the maiden embracing the lion, you know, still giving him that pat on the back, still telling him you appreciate him, still telling him he's an awesome business partner, telling him that you care about having a healthy dynamic and being able to kind of support one another. So it's not like uncomfortable and he doesn't get weird. But the Hermit card in general is kind of saying like he's reflecting now on, oh, okay, well, maybe I got my hopes up a little bit. It's not going to go in that direction. So now what, right? Now maybe he's kind of beating himself up over being so forward about his emotions and coming out the gate really hot and heavy. And now he's like, okay, well, now how is this relationship potentially going to work? The bottom card that I get for the deck is the Ace of Wands. So that's my confirmation card. So much fire in this chart, in this spread. It's saying that there is an opportunity to still take some of that passion and creativity and like liveliness and like having fun together and being able to work well together, even in spite of like him getting a little weird. You might find that there is just a sense also through the retrograde that's coming later this summer, that that's like where you're breathing new life into the business. Maybe you have an opportunity to kind of like really revamp something. All of those squares are gonna go to Jupiter and Uranus in your 7th. So bringing in clients, working with a partner, bringing in more money. Those are some really good squares in my opinion. It's gonna feel larger than life. But equally, it can bring in other business opportunities, or you might consider, oh, do I want to go back to doing the more kind of Leo type things? So I think of like the spa, the hair stuff, nail stuff, beauty stuff, anything like that may actually come and you might reevaluate like going back to some of those type of projects, right? Because Leo in the 10th house is like big. It's very creative and it's very fun, and it's stuff that can involve beauty or, you know, entertainment or having fun. And also, yeah, maybe part of the Strength card with the Hermit card is just reminding him, like, don't take it personally. It's just, you know, this is a business relationship, this, that, and the other. Let's keep it that way, and how much you really appreciate him. But the Ace of Wands says you have an opportunity to continue to plant new seeds when it comes to creating and working together. So it seems like the dynamic is really good. Somebody's just kind of, they just kind of got their feelings hurt a little bit. Once planets come out of this conjunction with Saturn also, we're going to see throughout Aquarius season, I'm just pulling this up so I can reference, there we go. Throughout Aquarius season, I know it's Cap season, but we're going to see a number of planets come into conjunction with Saturn. So sometime around like January 20th through the 22nd, Venus is going to touch that. Then we're going to see the Sun come into conjunction with Saturn right before Saturn changes signs, right around February 14th. So for Scorpio rising charts, there is a sense of like, oh, letting the past be in the past, like letting that go, like burying this thing. It's 4th house to your ascendant. So you're having to kind of let things go, and also super focused on having your own space. So I think maybe it's also a matter of explaining to him, it's nothing personal, but I'm really focusing on myself right now. You don't have to tell him that you're looking for something else or something better, but rework the energy in a way where you're just like, I don't want to mess up this business relationship or our friendship, and that I really value you and appreciate you, and I think we've got a good thing going. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Things will get so much easier when Saturn changes signs. All the Scorpio rising charts are going to get a real reprieve. Thank you, Susan. I hope you're doing well. We've got Wendy. Wendy says, general reading, please. I've been going through a lot. Thank you. All right, Wendy. Let's see if we can give you some insight into what's been going on here recently. You're welcome, Susan. All right, so Wendy's been going through a lot. This one's a general reading. Let's see what the deck has to say. Ooh. All right. What's up, Rachel? Okay, so this was the order that the cards came up in. So we've got the Six of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Page of Pentacles. Well, I think that this is like a transitionary period for you personally. Two court cards coming up, so this might be talking about dealing with other people or kind of moving through things where it involves others. Let's start with the Six of Swords, right? So getting in your canoe, getting in your boat and crossing the channel. So this talks a lot about like moving on to calmer, more serene, places and times. So there's going to be a sense of like relief that's coming, or being able to physically move, relocate, or go through a period of kind of like being in limbo. This is my limbo card. It's like, I'm not quite who I used to be, and I know I'm becoming a new person, but I don't know who that person is yet, right? I don't know where I'm going. I just know that I'm not staying here. That type of energy. So swords are always about mental stuff, intellect, information, communication. This is right after the Five of Swords, where there's been some harmful or hurtful words, and right before we get to the Seven of Swords, where you start to question, did I make a mistake? So it's telling you that you can feel like you're at a bit of a turning point, maybe that you're at a fork in the road, re-evaluating, moving, and the process of moving. There you go. Thank you for the confirmation. That's really helpful. And the Knight of Wands is like saying, like, we just got to keep moving, right? It's just like, sometimes the Knight of Wands says, don't think, just act. You may feel that it's a quick move, that it's a bit chaotic, that things are happening very fast, that you're having to make decisions very quickly, but it's also invigorating. Like the Knight of Wands is like, well, at least it's adventurous, at least things are, interesting, they're not boring, they're not stagnant. So if you're moving because it's a situation where you had to quickly, it seems a little frazzled. If it's a situation where you're like, I'm making the decision to move because I need a change, or because I need to, totally shift my energy, or I need to focus on being able to have more fun, or I need more creativity, then it is positive. And I would say, even though it can be a bit turbulent, embracing the sense of being able to have an adventure is kind of the point. So try to look at it like silver lining in this. Now, this can also be a person. So it can be saying that there's somebody who's abrasively kind of being like, you need to move, or if we don't leave, I'm not staying. So there is a sense of somebody or something putting a fire underneath you, trying to really push you to make this change. Can be a younger person, can be a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sag. But sometimes I've seen these two cards come up where it's like, you get an eviction notice, or somebody says, we're selling the house, or you've got, 30 days or 60 days, and you're like, what? And you're scrambling to do it. But you may actually find that on the other side of this, it's actually positive. Like, it's going to be better for your financial, sense of well-being. It's also giving you a fresh start and a new beginning. The Page of Pentacles is coming in saying, hey, how can we use this as an opportunity to get reestablished, right? To start thinking about planting new seeds. To also start thinking about your financial situation, right? So whether it was a move in a positive sense or in a negative sense, it's going to get you looking at your money and your resources and your stability. And what I like about pages is that they always want to start something new. So they can be like, okay, I'm now, living in a place that's going to be more expensive, so I have to be learning about budgeting, or I have to be focusing on budgeting. Or It can be saying, all right, we're moving to this new place. It's going to be more affordable. So there in turn, I'm going to be saving money. Something about the move. I mean, obviously, everybody knows moves are not cheap. They're expensive. It takes time and planning to be able to move. So if this came suddenly and out of the blue, you're kind of looking at things going like, okay, how can I financially learn from this situation? Is it teaching you to save money? Is it teaching you to be more resourceful? Is it teaching you to also really think long and hard about, do I want to be in a situation where I'm going place to place, or is this really pushing me and incentivizing me to go, I want to plant roots somewhere, right? I'd like to have a place that I don't want to have this experience again. So am I thinking long-term about buying? Am I saving money so I can be able to kind of have something that's my own so I feel like I have more stability? Over time, the page will move through the knight into the queen, into the king of pentacles, where it owns something, it possesses something, there is some sense of business savviness. Perhaps maybe this is also a positive move because it's not only going to impact your finances positively in the end, but it also might prompt you to want to start thinking more about making changes in regards to your career, because the Page of Pentacles can be about skills. So it's like you move to an area or you go somewhere else and you're like, I'm, going to look for a new job, or I'm going to be investing a little bit more money into doing some kind of training. And you might find that there's more job prospects where you ultimately end up going. So in the end, I think it's positive, even though it feels like you may be kind of feeling like you're in limbo for the next 6 weeks to the next 6 months. 6 is what's coming up here. It may also mean that you're kind of doing something temporarily until you feel fully settled. So this could also materialize as being like, I wasn't anticipating moving. I need to get into a temporary space. I don't really know where I want to land. I know that, I have goals and determination to get somewhere. These are my ideas. These are my aspirations, Knight of Wands. But I need some time to be able to kind of reflect on how I'm going to get there. And in some certain situations, this can be, okay, I need a temporary space where I can save money, or I can live for 6 months, or I can do something temporary, or I can live with somebody temporarily until I figure out what direction I'm going in, especially with your money, right? So believe it or not, even though things have been really challenging, it's going to end up being really positive for you. And I would really look at what opportunities you have to gain from this, especially financially, or how it's just teaching you a really valuable lesson about what is yours and finding more stability in your life, so you're feeling like you're not going to get rocked again and be told that you have to move or that you have to go somewhere else, right? Hopefully that's helpful, sending you lots of good vibes in the midst of your transition. And I would say be optimistic about what the future holds, because it's not going to feel like this forever. 6 of Swords is the relief of just being like, well, at least that's over. That's behind me. I'm moving forward. Good luck. All right, so I've got, let me update this list here. You're so welcome, Wendy. Moving can be very stressful. I just got done moving myself, so I know what that's like. Okay, so here's my updated list, because there's quite a few of you guys now. We've got Kayla, Vanessa, Austin, we've got Miss Thompson, Maria, let's see, Kay, Marcasello, Dawn, Brittany, Rachel, Brandon, and Miss Mooney. So thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. Let's now get to Kayla. Vanessa and Austin, you guys are on deck. Kayla says, 3-card reading. Ooh, that card jumped out. 3-card reading. Sun in Aries, Moon in Leo, Capricorn rising. Question is, I want to have friends with benefits relationship with someone who's friends of someone I'm close with. Will this be the year that it happens, and will he be open to it? Why can't I seem to get over this guy, besides the fact that he's someone I would want in a serious partner if that was something I would be looking for? Okay, so you're asking questions in regards to potentially having the opportunity to have a friends with benefits with somebody who is a friend of a friend. Okay. So let's take a look. Interesting that this card popped out. I mean, while I was shuffling, it jumped. So this isn't one of the cards, but it's kind of prefacing the reading, letting you know that the 5 of Cups is a card that's like, don't get stuck in the why can't I have this? Why isn't this working? Like, oh, always me type of card. When I teach this in my tarot class, I always remind my students and also my clients, look, You got 3 cups that are spilled over, okay? So that's saying that you really want to be mindful of where 3 can be too many, right? So I see this in a lot of like love triangle situations. It's like, I like this person, but they like that person, and they want to keep things open because they don't want this and I don't want to hurt them. Like that can definitely happen. Like there can definitely be a sense of there being too many cooks in the kitchen. Also, notice that it's all gray. He's dressed in black. He's looking down. He's looking at a spilled over situation, something that fell apart. I see this very similar also to like the 3 of Cups reversed. So it can be saying like you're interested in somebody who may not be totally interested and they want to keep their options open, and that there can be somebody who gets their feelings hurt. And then behind him, which he's not seeing because he's turned around with his cloak, he's got the 2 of Cups upright, which is saying he's so busy crying over what didn't happen, he doesn't see what's potentially in front of him being offered him, which is a new opportunity for relationships and a partnership with someone else. So it's prefacing this in the reading. AKA, it could get messy if you're leaving it to friends with benefits, especially if there's potentially emotions and feelings there. And if he's somebody that you want in a serious relationship and you're willing to take him any which way you can get, other people can get involved and it can get messy. All right, so let's take a look what the cards have to say. All right, so this was the first card, this was the second card, this was the third card. Interesting. 4 of Wands, Ace of Cups, 3 of Pentacles. Part of me feels inclined to kind of say to you, and like this is just going with what the cards are saying, right? Like personally, you should know as a Leo rising, because you are going to be seeing, as a Leo moon, so you're Capricorn rising. Okay. So you're dealing with the Mercury retrograde in your first house, and you're an Aries sun, which is connected to your 4th. Okay. The retrograde is having you rethink something, okay? Depending on, it's how you communicate with people, what you're thinking, what direction you're going on in life, whatever. Something about this makes me feel like just be careful with some of the transits that are going to be happening, because you still have Saturn in opposition to your moon, so it can be difficult for emotionally relating and people who kind of need some space to figure things out. All right, so 4 of Wands, right? Where I was going with this is this makes me feel like it could be a situation where he could grow on you, right? And I'm not saying like, oh yeah, get into it, everything will be fine, because still it's prefaced with the 5 of Cups saying somebody's going to get their feelings hurt, somebody's going to get hurt. All right, so I feel like the cards are saying if you get involved in a casual relationship with him or something that there's no strings attached, it may grow on him. It may take time, but it may grow on him. 4 of Wands is about coming together, having a good time, celebrating, going out, doing things, spending time together, socializing. I feel like it's basically saying that the emphasis is more in the experience that you have in the relationship than defining it. So you might look at it and go, okay, let's do friends with benefits because I'm going to get everything that I want and hopes that it turns into a relationship, when in reality, it's about being present with that person, getting to know them, spending time with them, and socializing and being able to connect with other friends. The fact that you mentioned, hey, he's close with somebody who I'm friends with, does make me feel like you guys would all have to be aware that there is some kind of connection that's going on there. People don't have to think that you're officially together, but there has to be an awareness if you're going to be in groups with like-minded people. This is also a card that talks about like temporary spaces, temporary places. So I think of like concerts and theater events and, parties and things like that. I'm not saying that you have to go and do these things, but I think what it's really saying in this spread is it may be something that is inconsistent. It's like when you go out and you want to have a good time, great, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to hang on for a while. But it's contradicting because it comes up with the Ace of Cups. So it is saying that there is room for opportunity for love, for connections between the two of you, for love to grow. If there isn't an expectation that it has to be a long-term standing thing. You can't get into it and define it and go, okay, we're going to do this and it's going to be this way and we're going to see each other during these time periods and we're going to do it for this long and we're going to see if it's going to be something. It's like, no, that's not really how this works. If you get involved, you guys want to go out and have a good time, great. If you're more present with that, it's going to give the opportunity for love to grow. And notice the hand is being held out, right? It's not gripping the cup. It's just creating that balance to be able to hold the chalice. So it is saying new opportunities for romance and relationships as long as you let love grow. followed by the Three of Pentacles, which is about working together, being a team, seeing that there is just this natural flow, this natural vibe. You want to approach this in a way that's like, okay, you know, if he's open to it, which it does seem like he's going to be receptive, he may say, well, I don't, you know, I can't make any promises. I don't know. Like, I'm not looking for anything serious right now. You might be able to convince him, okay, well, there's something here. I want to see what it could be, and let's see if we can actually like work this out. And it makes me feel at the very least, you guys are going to learn a lot about relationships through this union. Doesn't mean you're going to stay together, but you are going to learn a lot, and it can be really productive because it can encourage both of you guys to grow and learn where your weak points are, and like where you guys can actually benefit and support and help each other. Learn how to be a better partner, right? The Three of Pentacles. This can also be talking about like a 3-month working period. This talks about like either the summertime generally. That's what we kind of see with this, when the sun goes into Cancer or when planets go into Cancer. Mars will eventually go into Cancer. And I'm curious to see what happens. Probably about March through about July. That seems like the vibe that I'm getting. And timing wise, it says it could be that you do this for a couple of months and you see how it goes. It doesn't seem negative. But I'm wondering if there's something complicated because that Five of Cups came up. So it makes me feel like, is it a situation where like you approach him and you talk to him and you're like, can we have something, but you can't tell someone? That's not going to work because you have that Five of Cups with the Three of Cups spilled over, where if you know that like a girlfriend of yours likes him, oh, okay, you're married. There you go. Somebody's going to get their feelings hurt, basically. So you just need to be aware of that if there's something that you're not disclosing from people, it could potentially be a problem. What's interesting though is like it's saying that you guys are going to learn a lot about companionship. So if you're making the decision to approach him and to say, hey, let's do this thing, you can do it, but there's no guarantee that there's going to be a long-standing relationship. But there's going to be a lot of emotional growth that can potentially come from this experience. Equally, I feel like the Three of Pentacles is saying, okay, how can we benefit each other? Because it's physical, right? So like, unfortunately, these readings do come up if you're in a situation where you're like, I'm married to somebody I'm not happy and they don't want a divorce. And then we've got this other person who's equally not happy and they're in a relationship, but they're having a kid and they can't leave. To me, Pentacles feel, they can feel transactional. So there can be a sense of like, what are we both getting from this? Are we both getting something out of this? Whether it's emotional or physical or feeling like you're getting that quality time. It looks like, yes, you would get that from this dynamic. Still gonna keep going back to that Five of Cups. So keep in mind that if you guys are having your own thing, that can really disrupt things for other people, whether it's, you know, a marriage or a family. Like there's something that is going to end up kind of getting rocked or affected, especially emotionally, as a result of that. So really the difficult thing is how you approach that, knowing that there's other people that can get hurt, right? So just let that sink in, because this is a really positive spread, but that card is saying, yes, in spite of the positivity, somebody's going to get hurt. So really think about how you approach that and whether or not that's something you guys want to do, or if it makes sense for both of you guys to reevaluate your situation first. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Definitely sticky situation. Sticky situation. Sun and Aries, Jupiter's going to hit your sun and you're a Leo rising, excuse me, your Leo moon. So there's going to be lots of opportunity for love, romance, excitement, all of these things. But as a Capricorn rising, keep in mind when transits hit your moon, it's going to impact your relationships, right? So like the trines that you're going to be getting to your moon and all that stuff, and then the retrograde over your moon, that's really gonna affect you, you know? Hopefully that's helpful. I've heard everything. That doesn't, my job is to be neutral. Like, you know, a lot of people are really judgmental when they give readings, and I feel like that's not fair to the client and the people who are asking, because it takes a lot to be willing to ask those questions and ask somebody's opinion. But we're not paid to give you our opinions. We're paid to tell you what the astrology or what the cards say. So that's why I'm so glad that I read the card that jumped out, because it gave you another layer to that reading. That's just like, yeah, it might be bliss, but this is what may also come up, you know? So yeah, I've heard it all. That's very, very, very neutral compared to a lot of things that I usually hear. So hopefully that's helpful. What's up, everybody? We are just the vessel for the messages. Once we start throwing in our opinion, that's when we become biased. So we've got Vanessa, Austin, and Maria. You guys are on deck. What's up? Stay focused. Hello, Leanne. Yes, Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. Tarot was my first love. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Vanessa. Vanessa says, hey, I really need clarity and direction with the Virgo. He's pulled away so much since New Year's, hours between texts, and absolutely no initiation with planning dates. We've had talks about this. He seems very receptive, but still nothing has changed. What can you tell me about how he truly views me and where he sees and wants to go? What advice can you give me on how to deal with him? Example, ignore, pull back. Will he even be sad? Is there someone else better suited for me? If so, can we find each other? Okay, so she sent 60. So we're going to do 3 cards specifically on him, and then 1 card in regards to, is there someone better suited for you? This is for you, and we're following the Virgo saga. If you guys hang around long enough, you'll see the clients come back and you'll follow the storyline. So she's been going back and forth with the Virgo. So let's ask what's going on with this situation. What direction is it going in? Where does he want this to go? What's the deal? How to handle it? Will he even be sad? Gotta love those Virgo on Virgo relationships, right? Really positive cards, actually, surprisingly. So we have got the 6 of Cups coming up with the Hangman, followed by the 6 of Wands. So generally, overall, pretty positive cards. Interesting that the 6 of Cups is reminiscing, reflecting, reconnecting, coming together, it being sweet. Like, it makes me feel like it's a situation where when you reconnect, when you see each other, when you guys, spend time together next, there can be a sense of being like, oh, it's still there. The connection is still there. The feelings are still there. Even if you're not feeling as connected emotionally or in terms of communication right now. That is also reflecting on sweeter times. So there is a sense also of like going back and forth and being like, okay, am I reminiscing too much on the past? Am I idealizing the past? That kind of stuff. The Hangman coming up in the center position is really kind of saying you're feeling like you're between a rock and a hard place. It's like, what do I do? I'm caught in suspension. Like, I don't want to leave, but I also don't want to say too much. And really the message of the Hangman is to gain insight on your own. This is a moment of having alone time. Represents Pisces, which is also 7th house to your sun being a Virgo. But it also represents meditation, reflection, the dream world, intuition, intuitive hits, and visions that you're getting. It's the polar opposite of the hermit that needs to go through the physical process of being alone and figuring things out and organizing things. The Hangman is kind of like getting tarot readings, doing dream interpretation, all that stuff. So something about you not acting right now. The Hangman is not about action. The Hangman is about reflection, and it's about what is your inner voice telling you. It can also mean that, and this is common advice that I would give anyone, pay attention to their actions, right? Actions speak louder than words. If you're in a position of not taking action, not following up, not reaching out, not trying to make plans, not trying to do things, pay attention to how he responds to that, because he may notice and know that you have a tendency to kind of want to reconnect. You follow back up, you say you're going to do something, you do it, you're very reliable. Maybe too reliable, right? With that 6 of Cups, he knows that you're just going to be there. And so when you change that pattern and you decide, no, I'm going to pull inward a little bit, let's see if he's going to make, a move. And it's not about punishing him and giving him the silent treatment. That's not what this is. It's just to see, right? Because every action, there's a reaction. So if you're not reacting, what's he going to do? The Hangman says just hang and just wait for a minute. Followed by the 6 of Wands, which is a card that talks about victory. It's about, being able to get a warm home, like a homecoming. Like these two cards are about homecoming or reconnecting or going somewhere and being well received. So I feel like if you go rogue for a little bit and you're quiet, nobody knows where you are, and you're not putting forth as much energy, energetically, emotionally, what have you, into trying to push the relationship, he may be like, where are you? What's going on? Can I see you? You know, I've missed you. Like, it's about creating that space to allow him to meet you halfway. What I like about this is that it's basically saying, like, if you allow there to be enough time and space and silence, you're going to get your answer. And also, likely it's going to end up playing out in your favor, because when he does reach out to you, you're like, yeah, I don't know, I'll let you know if I'm available or not. He's going to be like, well, you know, why don't you come over? I want to see you. So there's going to be a sense of something like this happening. And I'm starting to see people talking about Virgos in the chat. For all of you like Virgo risings, Virgo suns, Saturn's going into Pisces. So as Saturn goes into Pisces, you're going to see that you're having to deal with other people. You're going to have Saturn in opposition to your Ascendant or Saturn in opposition to your Sun. Huge themes in regards to relationships, right? And how you are opening your heart. Saturn rules your 5th house to other people. So little challenging right now for the Virgos with the Mars retrograde. You guys have been so swamped with responsibility and work that there has been a not knowing what direction to go in with relationships. But in regards to this spread specifically, it does seem to me like reflecting on what used to be, what could be, staying open, allowing him to kind of like reach. And when he does, it looks like it's going to be something where he's like happy to see you. Once you're physically around each other, I think you're going to realize more that like it's still there, right? There's just that need to reconnect. So maybe it's a matter of when you do hear from him and he's talking to you, I would be like, when you want to get together, let me know. You know, I'm around, but I'm kind of busy. I'm working on some things. It's not totally showing him all your cards, pun intended. Confirmation card would be the 2 of Cups. So bingo, reconnecting, coming together. There's still being something there. And I feel like also there is a sense of him reflecting a lot on, can we go back? Because you guys had a period where you were kind of together and then you took space and like you didn't see each other and there was nothing for months, and now you guys come back together and it was hot and heavy. So I think for him, it's also like, okay, now that I've come back and we've had these conversations and we've talked about, you know, that he's just not going to vanish and go MIA again. Part of him might be also asking himself, like, can I come back? Like, if I do this again, is she going to let me back in, or am I going to get kind of iced out? So it's also about reminding him, hi, I still, you know, I want to see you. I know you've got something going on, but like, I want to see you. So I want to see you. Letting him know that you're open to connecting with him seems to be very important. Those of you guys who are just tuning in, you can get on the queue for a reading if you want. Scan the QR code below. We're going to leave it open probably for another 10 minutes. So if you want to get your reading, you can make a donation. All right, so then for the second question that you had, one card, is there someone better suited for me? If so, when can we find each other? I have to tell you, as a Cancer moon and all that Libra that you have in your 5th house, girl, the fact that you're getting ready to start having eclipses in the spring and that the nodes are going to square your moon and they're also going to start squaring your 5th house, there is more like needing action in regards to relationships. You're going to start seeing that you want action, you want new things. That's going to start happening in the spring. So just pay attention. The card that I get for you is, oh, here's our friends, the 5 of Cups again. Interesting. Going back to what I was saying, crying over spilled milk, what's not working, what hasn't been kind of playing out for you, questioning whether or not there's other people, but what's behind you. So it's this reminder that's like, if you're in something and you're not happy and you're super consumed with why it's not working, why they're not coming forward, is there other people, things like that. It's saying it's emotional energy wasted when it could be better utilized to see what's actually in front of you. So, and I know that this sounds kind of like insensitive. I don't mean this in an insensitive way, but if you're in something that's not working and you're not happy and you feel like you're just like pushing the river and it's not going anywhere, and you keep hitting that wall over and over again of being like, okay, like, you know, my cups were all filled up and now they're just knocked over again, you'll get to a point where you're going to be like, okay, there's got to be something else out there. So after a series of this, it can be a series of this happening 3 times. It can also be that if you do get the impression that you've met somebody else and that there is something else out there for you, you have to be willing to walk away from what's not working, right? But when you're asking, like, is there someone better? It's saying deal with the situation at hand. If this isn't working, clear that out before you can receive the next relationship. 2 of Cups, which is behind you. So it's saying that almost like there's like a relationship in waiting that's waiting to come in when you've dealt with this, especially anything in regards to other people. So if you're getting the impression, I'm not saying there is, but if you get the impression that he's not prioritizing you, or that he's keeping his options open, or that there's potentially other people that he's entertaining, whatever, you're going to be like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm not keeping this door open. And you're going to be upset about it, but you're also going to realize that when you make the decision to let it go, then you're going to realize there's another relationship that's in waiting, right? And for Virgo placements, just Saturn going into Pisces, you're going to see that, but you're a Cancer rising. So right now with Mercury retrograde in your 7th house, there's a lot of miscommunications with partnerships. The sun's going to come into conjunction with your Pluto. I mean, sun's going to come into conjunction with Pluto. It's going to square your 5th house. So this Mercury retrograde is going to go off in a big way, kind of like fireworks, right around the time that Mercury is getting to the later degrees of Capricorn. So that's really important for you to be watching the first week of February. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. What's up, Fatima? Thank you for joining us. She says, Virgo sun. Mary Lynn. Yes. So, when you donate, you have to put your question in the memo. I got a whole list of people. So just give me a minute. I will call you in advance and let you know when I'm ready to do your reading. So those of you guys who want to get in the next 10 minutes, please put your question in the memo. And I will call you shortly. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so we've got, okay, cool. Thank you. We've got Austin, then we've got Maria, and then we're going to be doing Kay Marskello. You guys are on deck. And then Dawn. All right, so Austin says 3-card reading. What's up, Austin? I saw you there earlier. Are you still in here? Do you have a particular question that you want to ask me? Let me know. There he is. What's up, Austin? I'm a Sag rising. These retrogrades have been messing me up. I feel like I may have jumped into a new relationship too soon after a messy long-term breakup. What does the situation with this person look like? Or should I take time to myself to heal? Good question. So those of you guys who are not aware, Sagittarius risings, right? Mars has been going retrograde in your 7th house, which means you're reevaluating your relationships. Mars is passion. It can create tension. And Mars has been going retrograde in your 7th. And it rules traditionally your 12th house of where you may not have healed or processed things, and also your 5th house of the heart space or anything in regards to romantic partners. So retrogrades aren't necessarily a bad thing. Like if you're in a relationship dynamic that's not working, it allows you to get out. If you're in a relationship that's like newer and there's like some tension and some pressure, yeah, I mean, it's really, the question is like, you know, do you feel like you could love that person, right? Jupiter's going into your 5th house of Aries. So this is going to be a really big theme. Let's take a look and let's see what the cards say. Yeah, really difficult for those, late Scorpio and Sagittarius risings, this retrograde. There's been a lot of almost like ghost of ex-past coming back. Like I've heard a lot of people be like, oh, I'm in this new relationship, but it's like giving me like relationship PTSD where I'm thinking about that person, or like this relationship's reminding me of them, or there's some similarities. Yeah, big time. Yep. Oh boy. So pretty much pulled 3 of the gnarliest cards in the deck. I think I've seen this combination a couple times, you know? And I've seen this combination come up like when somebody has lost somebody, like somebody has transitioned, they've died. and just like a really difficult period of grieving, right? Finally grieving the relationship, finally grieving what has ended. So perhaps you were afraid to heal, or maybe there was a sense of you not wanting to accept or acknowledge that that relationship ended. The Ten of Swords does talk about feeling let down or feeling stabbed in the back or overwhelmed with just the state of the situation. Like, this is one of the cards that I pull when there is like an actual death or ending, and it means like there's no going back. So I think there's more of a sense of you coming to terms with like, yeah, like I'm in this new relationship, but now I'm finally just starting to grieve. And it being very painful and very difficult for you, especially because it may feel like it's something that is like keeping you up at night, or you're thinking about it, or, you know, there's a sense of just finally, you know, the heaviness of finally realizing that they're not coming back is hitting you. Followed by the Three of Swords, which is a difficult card, talks about heartbreak and being in a situation where you're like, I just really don't know if I can really move on from this. I'm having a very difficult time here. And really, really feeling as if, you know, the heart can't properly heal. And so, you know, I think with the Ace of Swords kind of wrapping this up, it's like being in your truth, standing in your truth, that maybe you're realizing and recognizing through journaling, writing, communicating, what you're reading, what you're learning, that there is a need to kind of really like speak your truth, right? And so I feel like also this can be also equally as painful because you don't want to inflict pain, or there is a sense of not wanting to hurt somebody else in the process. Certainly the swords, I think, can be one of the gnarlier suits in the deck. And it talks about intellectual conversations, information, defending yourself, cutting things out. I think really what this is saying is you already know the answer, right? This is my true death card. Personally, especially when the Ace of Swords comes up reversed, it didn't. But the Ace of Swords and the Ten of Swords would be it's done definitively. There's no going back. Your confirmation card for the bottom is the Moon. So to me, it seems like it's also about an emotional knowing that there needs to be time for you to kind of like reflect and be with these energies before moving on to another relationship. Also potentially keeping there from being like another broken heart, right? Because the person that you're with, they may be amazing, they may be great, but you may realize with Mars that's been retrograde in your 7th that you're just like, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to be in a relationship. I'm still wounded. And if I'm wounded, I'm not complete. And if I'm hurt, I could potentially hurt another person. You get what I'm saying? So I think the Ace of Swords coming up with the Moon card is like letting them know, hey, you know, I thought I dealt with this. Subconsciously, it's coming up. And also the eclipses that are happening in your 12th house of Scorpio is bringing some of this stuff up into the surface. And so some recommendations I can make with that is therapy. I think anybody would really benefit from therapy, but especially with the 12th house Scorpio, you know, healing, energy healing, maybe even seeing like a hypnotherapist or somebody who can do some past life regression. And be working with you in like that subconscious realm so you can start to kind of detox that stuff. And I think it's maybe a matter of just like letting them know it's you needing to work through this because you don't want to create another broken heart, and that it has nothing to do with them, but that you want to be complete before you're able to kind of really meet them. And the Moon coming up is saying that this is like acknowledging that most of this is subconscious. So it's important to also like let them know, like, you didn't see this coming. This wasn't something you're aware of. You're becoming aware of it. And now you really kind of need to deal with it. And it might be something that comes up during one of like the full moons. Okay, we've got a full moon that's coming in what's the next one? We've got a new moon in Aquarius, and then we're gonna have like what? That's gonna be a full moon in Leo, I think. So that cycle might be when you start kind of working some of that stuff out. And like love is very possible being a Sag rising, because Jupiter is going to go into your 5th house. So you might find that you're more ready to come online, you know, closer to like March or April. But yeah, 3 very gnarly cards. And I would say one broken heart has the potential to create another one, you know? And I think the crown being on the sword is just kind of saying that you're really kind of taking this information that you've already kind of been talking about, that mental chatter that's been going on in your mind, and realizing that you have to let that kind of lead the way. There's a need for you to really, you know, take this information through your crown or however you've been receiving it, these downloads, write it down, put it in a letter, you know, figure out how you're going to formulate having this conversation and really kind of let them know. And yeah, it's doubly painful because you're like, now I got to potentially cut the person I do care about, but I'm doing it because I don't want to hurt them. And I also don't want to be alone. That moon card is like not wanting to be alone, right? But you could potentially save the relationship long-term by doing this early on rather than continuing these patterns of like focusing on the past and not allowing yourself to be present in a relationship. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Difficult stuff, sending you lots of good healing vibes. Guys, I'm going to give you 2 more minutes, and at 8 o'clock my time, I'm central. I don't know where you are. But that's when we're going to close the readings. Okay, so we've got Maria and Kay and then Dawn. All right. So let's see. Miss Thompson had a great date with this guy, but will there be a second? Is there potential? Good question. Let's take a look. Thank you. Katie. All right, so this is for you, Maria. Had a second date, had a first date. Will there be a second? Freudian slip. Maybe there will be. Ooh, 4 of Swords jumped out there. Page of Cups, 4 of Wands, 3 of Coins. 4 of Wands, 3 of Coins likes to pop up, huh? Being present, enjoying it, letting it kind of fan out. Personally, I think like the 4 of Swords kind of popping out here is probably like just saying like, don't worry about it. Like just be patient, you know, just rest. Don't let this be something that kind of distracts you or makes you worried that it's not going to go anywhere, especially because these cards are really positive. Page of Cups can literally be like another offer. So it can be somebody who's like, hey, you want to go grab a drink? You want to get dinner? You want to get together? And an offer to go and do something where there's going to be a group or a crowd of other people. So do you want to go and see this live show? Do you want to go and catch dinner and see a movie? Do you want to come to my friend's party? It is suggesting there is an offer that's coming here soon, increments of 3. Okay, so within 3 days, 3 weeks, you'll see each other again. Page of Cups also is a really good indication because that does say like there is an emotional connection. There is not just attraction, but like a sense of being like, yeah, like I want to romance that person. So it's saying in the back of his mind, there is emotional interest to kind of still want to wine and dine and spend time with you. And it can be the beginning of potential of a relationship. This can unfold over 3 months. I think the 4 of Wands is cool because it's also saying like getting to know each other in a social setting. So there may not be like a lot of like private one-on-one dates. These hangouts may evolve into like seeing other people or hanging out with other friends or kind of just expanding and, you know, being out and seeing what they're like around others. But I have a feeling there's going to be an invitation that's like, oh, this thing's going on. Do you want to come with me? 3 of Coins also is a cool card because that does talk about like this building, right? I think like of the 3 of Coins is like compounding. So it's like 1 date leads to 3, which leads to like seeing each other for the weekend, which leads to being like, okay, are we together? So there is some sense of that growing in terms of the dynamic within the relationship. But that 4 of Swords jumping out, is it like, are you worried that you're not going to hear from him again? Are you like, what's going on? It's been radio silence. I haven't heard anything. Don't worry about that. I also feel like it's not going to be you that's going to make the first move, especially with the Page of Cups coming up first, which is saying like, let him be the one that's going to like reach out to you and say, hey, let's get together. And I'm also really curious to see like what you guys have in common in terms of like your life goals and your motivation. So I think that there can be a sense of like, you know, talking to each other and being like, hey, like, you know, I've got this, and this going this week, but like, I'm going to make time for you. And then you get together and you find out that you guys have a lot in common in terms of your financial goals, your career goals. You guys might both also just seem very similar in terms of how you work in relationships, that there is a sense of you guys being very complementary. 3 of Pentacles can also talk about like doing some kind of work together. So I don't know if you guys have something similar, but it could be work events in some situations, but just talking about the dynamic of you guys working well together as well. So yes, I think there's going to be a second date. Look for something that's going to be fun, that's going to be kind of lively. Let him be the one to call you. Stop stressing about it. Just let it happen and know that you're going to see him over the next 3 weeks. And allow this to be something that's going to evolve over a couple of months. And don't hesitate to do things with other people, your friends, his friends, going out, meeting people. I would like other people to kind of be involved in this because it's going to kind of help liven things up a little bit and give you an idea of whether or not he's a really good match. And let friends or, you know, like family or whatever, whoever you end up kind of spending time with, like observe the process because these are going to be people who might give you feedback also on that. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know when you get that second date. Yeah. Okay, guys, readings are now closed. So those of you guys who got in here these last like 10 minutes or so, I got you. Serena, Vanessa snagged one. Elizabeth is here. Richard, Carla, Margaret, Felicia, Glenn. I got all you guys. Don't worry. Readings are now closed. He's a Taurus rising Cap Sun. I'm a Virgo rising Sag Sun. Ooh. Oh, so you are you a homebody with your sun in the 4th? Taurus rising Cap Sun. So the Mercury retrograde can be part of what's going on. And just keep in mind, I think, I don't know if I talked to you about a Taurus rising before, but Taurus rising with the eclipses in the South Node in the 7th, they're more self-consumed. So they kind of have to do things on their own time right now because the North Node's in their 1st house. So it doesn't mean that relationships can't happen. There's going to be an eclipse also in his 7th house, and that's going to be happening like right around May. I think the 1st week of May. So that can be a big turning point in relationships for him. Okay. Good luck. All right. So let's see who else we got here. Okay. So I got you, Katie. Worrying about this transit because Pisces moon conjunct my rising. Maybe there's no need since I've already been suffering in my head. Oh. Okay, so concerns around Saturn entering into Pisces. I have a strong urge to do so many things, but I'm overwhelmed as to how. The energy has been pushing me hard. Also, is it okay for me to travel overseas the 1st week of Feb? Thanks. So I got how you were like, oh, I thought it was astrology. Do you want me to answer this with what I can tell you about your chart, or do you want to wait for an astrology reading? Let me know. But if you are you Pisces rising? Oh, that's right. So Pisces moon conjunct my rising. What degrees? Saturn is now, yeah, Saturn's awake, but Saturn's he's gonna enter into Pisces, I think it's like March 7th. And it's only going to go from 0 to 7 degrees. So I'm a Placidus user. Once Saturn changes signs, you're going to feel it. But definitely there is going to be a sense of, yeah, there being something going on. So you're going to start to feel those shifts. All right, so let's take a look. And something else I would say, even though Saturn it's not as easy in a Neptune sign. Saturn crossing your ascendant is a kind of a big deal. Oh, 18 degrees. Okay, got it. Okay. So Saturn isn't going to cross your ascendant until closer to like 2025. All right. So it's going to take time before it crosses your ascendant or your moon. So you've got time. Go and learn about Saturn crossing your ascendant. It affects the body. It also represents limitations. Oh, so you've got plenty of time. It's Neptune on your ascendant that's affecting you right now. So Neptune on your ascendant, you're going to feel the Mars squares. Just take it easy until March. And I would say you can't really fear that transit. You know, when a planet crosses an angle, it's going to square your midheaven, your IC, and your descendant. So it does create changes in terms of you, your body, your home, your relationships, and also your midheaven. But Neptune's been there for a while. It's more Saturn on the moon that makes me feel like it's going to materialize more as, are you dealing with inner child stuff, relationship stuff? Are you nurturing issues relating to your mother? Are you getting in touch with your inner child, your inner creative, right? Saturn can be crystallizing. So like me thinking back just personally to Saturn on my ascendant, it was a really important time for redefining who I was. And it was also naturally it's going to enhance the ascendant meaning. So Pisces rising is being in tune with everything, allowing everything to kind of come together. It's about your vision, right? So don't fear that transit. It's not necessarily bad. What's more challenging is Saturn on the moon than Saturn on the ascendant. So actually Saturn's going to hit your moon in the 12th house before it hits your ascendant, which may materialize as you start thinking about nurturing your creative abilities. If you're a creative, a photographer, if you're into film, design, art, and you may start thinking about whether or not you could potentially like live in another country. And Saturn will help bring those goals to fruition, right? Because Saturn rules your 11th house of goals. So like, I don't always subscribe to the traditional ways of looking at some of these transits, but definitely Saturn on the moon is more challenging. You need to eat less meat and you need to focus more on meditation and also coping with lower moods, foot reflexology, detoxing, sobriety, visiting temples or healing centers or other countries can all be like really helpful. So hello, I've got Mercury retrograde right now. All right, so that's just kind of in a nutshell, but let's see what the cards say. Okay, so it was in this order that the cards came up. Page of Pentacles, Seven of Swords, and the Emperor. So mastering something, right? That's what Saturn does. You're mastering something. So personally, I would say, you know, the Page of Pentacles, as you're approaching the Saturn transit, I think is what can I learn? What can Saturn teach me, right? What valuable lesson? Where are you learning more about investing in yourself? Saturn also in your ascendant is going to be about boundaries. It's also going to be for you about being able to start developing some of your natural talents, especially things that could potentially make money, right? So you might join groups of other artists. You might start collaborating with people who might be international. You might start focusing on taking some of your art and trying to create film or video out of it in some way. Then you're going to have the Seven of Swords coming up, which is also about whether or not you're trusting yourself, which does make sense as Saturn's kind of playing peekaboo with your ascendant. I'm talking to like a lot of like really early Pisces risings right now, like the first 10 degrees, and they're feeling Saturn behind their ascendant and they're like, oh, I got to hurry up. Like it's my time. I'm going to be on stage soon. Like you feel like you have to get something together. And so there is a sense of you working through shyness, not trusting yourself, not taking chances, feeling scared, right? Pisces energy is kind of like a koi pond. So when you throw a rock into a koi pond, all the fish kind of scatter. So it's teaching you not to just run at the first opportunity of feeling exposed or vulnerable or opening up and kind of sharing your feelings, right? The moon with other people. It's also going to have you start addressing like, what are you creating or giving birth to? Because Saturn on your moon is like motherhood things. And it also relates to your 5th house. So it's going to be you being like, well, is my creative job my baby? Am I nurturing it? It's also going to be about whether or not you're thinking about physically having a child and like how that would potentially fit into your life. Okay, so then the Emperor card is talking about like bossing up and like getting more serious or more committed. Interesting, that's an energy, the Emperor that deals more with Mars. But I think with the Emperor coming up, it's saying like how you're mastering something and you're becoming more clear about how you're directing your energy. So it might mean that there is like a sense of really growing up and becoming more professional when it comes to your creative endeavors, and feeling like that's what you do professionally. You're not just like, yeah, I'm an artist. It's like, no, I'm an artist and I make a living and this is what I do. And like, here's my professional work and like, here's my portfolio. So something about really developing your public reputation. And there may be a refining that's going on. Like Saturn has a tendency to mature and refine something. So you're refining something about your creative projects and your nature. Maybe you're completing something. For some people, sometimes it's like going back to school and it's getting like a degree. For others, it's just feeling like you're becoming more established, you know? Cool, professional graphic designer. So there you go. I would say also, because the moon can be clothing and it can be textiles or it can be like materials. It can also be like home goods. I wonder like if you're going to start creating art for the home, creating art for younger people, if you create patterns that might be for, you know, children's clothing or things like that. It sounds silly, but like there may be something like that where you start designing something connected to the moon. So home or women or children, something of that nature. But I wouldn't say worry about the transit because you've got about another 1.5 years before it starts in. Start getting into a regular routine, a meditation routine. That's going to be really helpful if you have all that Pisces energy to start kind of figuring out your vision and also committing more seriously to it and like what you do with that private time if you're working in an office and if that's like your little temple. So you have to kind of zen it out because Pisces is about spirituality. And I would encourage you to join groups of other artists because Saturn rules your 11th house, other people who might work independently and like in a solitary sense. And you're doing that so that way you're feeling like you have a sense of connection with other people, right? So yeah, don't fear it, but definitely get a reading right within the year, right, of that transit because it's a doozy on your ascendant and it's also going to hit your moon. And just watch for the moods. You know, COVID was fun for me. A lot of Neptune Pisces placements have said that to me. I have Saturn Neptune too. So I feel like even though it was really difficult for a lot of people, I like thrived in it. I was okay with it. But not everybody was that lucky, unfortunately. So good luck with that. Definitely start looking into the transit now. Thank you for your donation. I've got Dawn, Brittany, Rachel, Brandon. Dawn says, hey Candace, my name is Gut on YouTube. Got it. I have an upcoming move to OKC. Where is that? Oklahoma City? Transitioning out of the Army. I wanted to get a reading on my upcoming journey. I'll be taking the entrepreneurship route and learning how to run my father's restaurant. I plan to balance that with my passion, which is creating spiritual and lifestyle content. Thank you for your insight. Thank you, Dawn. Such a gentleman. Let's take a look on what's going on here for you as you transition out of the Army. You're going to be doing entrepreneurship. You're helping dad with the family business, but you also want to do your own thing. So you're creating lifestyle and spiritual content. Thank you. There you are. All right. Well, let's see what this journey looks like. So these are the cards that I get. The Strength card, the King of Cups, and the 9 of Coins. Wow, of course you're Pisces Sun. Hi, Mr. King of Cups. I really feel like this is a very enthusiastic time. Whether you're just working for your family business, you're doing your own thing, like I feel like this is a time where you're like anything is possible, right? So the Strength card is about being able to embrace, new opportunities, new adventure, new emotional kind of feelings. The Strength card also has its connection to like Leo. So it is about solar figures and the relationship that you have with your father. I see that you're saying that you're a Taurus rising. So keep in mind, especially the Venus retrograde that's going to happen July and August this year is going to be really significant because it's going to be in your 4th house and it's about things changing in regards to your home or your family. Big vibes because it's going to square Jupiter and Uranus in your sign. So your rising sign. So that's going to bring up some change. I think the Strength card is also saying learning to nurture creativity and talent and just like letting it flow. So I think working and being connected to your dad, a solar figure, having that opportunity to also be prideful about the fact that you can come home and you can help expand the business. There's going to be, definitely proud family members for your contribution. The King of Cups coming up, I think it's talking about you as a Pisces and also getting in touch with your intuitive and your sensitive side. Now that perhaps maybe you're going to be in an environment where you can do more of that, where you don't have as much structure and routine in your life. Not that you can't be spiritual and have a lot of structure and routine, but maybe you just feel like, you're going to have the freedom to be able to practice some of this stuff more. But the King of Cups is the mastering of the intuition, the emotions, the receptivity, also really focusing on doing things that feel emotionally in alignment. So it's like you're going to start paying attention to, does this feel good, right? Does this feel good for me? Pluto's going into your 10th house. So obviously there's going to be a profound shift and a transformation in terms of your business and what you're doing work-wise. And it can present you with really significant and powerful partners. So this can also be an indication that you're going to start learning about like who you work with, who you offer services to. Maybe you're helping other people kind of get bigger with the content that you're providing them. And there in turn, you're really kind of creating a new reputation for yourself. But all of this is because you're really asking yourself what's going to feel best emotionally. And then you've got the 9 of Coins coming up. Great card. Talks about independence, financial independence, Really, this is a card that's about the luxurious life, being able to provide and give yourself all the things that you want. But this is an interesting card because it also has like a spiritual flair, because there's this sense of like, everything that I have, everything that I need is readily available for me. So it's also like a lot of work when it comes to abundance and reminding yourself that you're provided for and you have the freedom to do anything. It's not like you're chasing money because you're looking just for resources. You're chasing financial growth and security because you know it's going to provide you with opportunities to be able to do more of the things that you want to do. Traveling, investing, all of these kind of, Taurus, earth-related things. But this does talk about within 9 months coming into a period where you feel like you have more abundance and you also have the ability to do more of what you want to do and being able to kind of treat yourself and living a much more comfortable or luxurious like life. So all in all, to me, it looks like you're letting creativity grow, and there's like a great deal of pride with coming home and being able to work with the family and the family being really proud of you. Being excited about the opportunity to tune more into your emotional and your intuitive self and like letting that kind of guide the way, knowing that it's not so much about the money that you make, but the freedom that you end up gaining from some of this financial independence that you're going to have to be able to do other things, whether it's traveling or, being able to take classes or like lessons. So be open and watch for some of these big changes happening over the summertime. Okay. Good luck. Hopefully that's helpful for you. So we've got Brittany, Rachel, Brandon, and Miss Mooney. All right, so Brittany says, my name is Sweetly Creepy. Oh, I like your screen name. I would like a 1-card reading. I want to know what's going on with my love life. I'm a Gemini Sun, Scorpio Moon, Cancer Rising. This Mercury retrograde in the 7th has me experiencing major perspective shifts on relationships, and I'm confused about whether or not to pursue the Scorpio man. Interested if you think I should let him come to me. Thank you. Well, as a Gemini Sun, Scorpio Moon, you are dangerous. Of course you like a Scorpio man. All right. You are very, very welcome, Dawn. Good luck. All right, Brittany, this is for you. Let's see what's going on after this eye-opening experience with Mercury retrograde in your 7th house. What is going on with your love life? I'm sure all my Cancer risings are asking me that. What's going on? I really think the bottom line is, and this is interesting because as a Cancer rising, Mercury is going to conjunct your Pluto. So it's going to open up, or transit Pluto, it's going to open up things, conversations and things that you have not been aware of or that have been subconscious, or things that you need to bring up, conversations you need to bring up. And the sun's going to conjunct Pluto. So it's also going to be about whether or not you feel valued or supported or wanted. And there's something that's ending and being reborn, right, in your 7th house. Really strong energy because it's your opposite sign. But the Ace of Pentacles comes down to, what do I value, right? What do I value? Do I feel supported? What am I investing my time or my energy into? And where does investing my time or my energy or my resources into people literally affect my bottom line, right? So it's not just the retrograde in your 7th, it's that you've also got Jupiter going in your 10th. And over the next couple of months, you're going to see eclipses in your 10th house of career, Jupiter's in your 10th house of career. It's about business, yes, and expansion, maybe working for yourself, but it's about courage and also being in the driver's seat of your own life. So there is this sense of like being like, I control my schedule. I control, like what I'm participating in. I'm going to be the person who's going to determine how much time or energy or whatever I spend working in relationships, what have you. So the Ace of Pentacles is saying right now, you're like, look, I'm more aware now of how much time or energy or resources I'm investing in people. This can be indicating that you're ready for a fresh start. This can be indicating that you're ready for something real, something tangible. It can also mean that you're interested in being able to plant seeds that could potentially be like long-term type of relationships. Generally speaking, Scorpio men, you don't want to chase them, okay? Just a heads up, not a good idea. Chasing them is going to definitely give them the awareness that you will chase them and they can do what they want and they can kind of come and go. I'm not talking about with other people, but just when they go into Scorpio mode, they know that you'll be there kind of waiting for them. So just be careful. Also know that Gemini and Scorpio is an interesting combo because you guys in conjunct, so you really, in theory, don't have a lot in common. But thankfully you have a Scorpio moon. So you know how those Scorpio moods kind of come through. And usually when they get kind of dark and stormy and quiet, something's going on. So you, depending on other aspects of the synastry, it can be something that can be complementary, but Gemini is always going to want to talk about it. Scorpio may not. The Ace of Pentacles, I think, in regards to this potential situation, indicates that there could be something really solid here. You may have to wait for it to grow. There may be a sense of waiting for it to kind of physically evolve. Right time, right place, right situation. But it also says for right now, it seems to be something that you're really looking at and asking yourself, do I want to invest my time into this? Do I want to invest my resources into this? Do I physically want to have somebody like this? And reflect on what's happened in the past, because you've had retrogrades here, you've had eclipses here a couple years ago, you've had Saturn go through there. It's taught you like where some relationships can totally get you off track, emotionally, spiritually, financially, the list goes on, right? So I think really what this is saying is like whatever is actually yours, if it's physically yours, if it's meant to be, it can't be taken away from you. Ace of Pentacles. If it's solid, it can't be taken away. Focus more on like what seeds you're planting, right? So are you looking for a relationship? If so, what are you looking for? What's your goal? Having that awareness now as you approach this potential relationship is really important, because it's going to teach you how much time or energy or resources you're willing to invest into this particular person. Okay? Good luck. Certainly you're going to have a lot of clarity, a lot of eye-opening things that are going to happen when planets start conjuncting Pluto. We have got Rachel. She wants a one-card reading. Rachel says, is my love life going to liven up soon? Great question. Let's take a look. Really curious what happens with that retrograde in your 5th house. Let's see what the cards say. Oh, that's definitely pretty live. This card has just been popping up. It just keeps popping up, right? We've seen it like 2 or 3 times. Maybe it's because it matches my shirt. I don't know. 4 of Wands. That is lively. That is getting out there, going to a party, going to a bar, getting together with other people, having a good time, being able to enjoy just gathering. Maybe this is about not waiting for things to liven up. Maybe this is about you being like, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to go and spend time with other people and see kind of like what pops up, who I meet, who I connect to. Going out, watching a live show, going and watching a band play, going to a sporting event, going to a friend's party. This is just going and being around other people. So it's not waiting for other people to come and approach you and pull you out of it. It's like literally going, I'm just going to go out there and have some fun. In doing so, yeah, there can be opportunities to dance with somebody, have a good time, connect with them, get invited to other social events. This does say, though, that it's going to be like you just doing like one-offs, kind of going out. It's not being like, oh, I'm going to have a rager. It's like, no, committing to being like, okay, at least once a month or several times a month, I'm going to be making an active move to just go out there and socialize and be interacting with people. And meeting other people that may also be like platonic. It doesn't have to be romantic. At the very least, it could be physical. So there's opportunity to have physical connections with people, but only if you're going and putting yourself out there. So think about like where you're potentially spending your time when you have free time. Are you trying to go out there and meet other individuals? Are you going out and having fun with friends? That's going to open up the likelihood of you being able to have more liveliness going on in your romantic relationships. And it's as a result of you kind of socializing and getting into different spaces. So you got to go places where there's like crowds. You have to go places where there's other people that are kind of gathering together. For me, this and maybe like the 9 of Cups would be like my bar card or my party card. I'm not saying you have to do that, but just going somewhere where there's going to be people who are kind of cutting loose and kind of having a good time. Or if there happens to be like a series of like live shows or concerts, or if there's like performances and stuff that may be temporary, or like festivals, this is another good opportunity to go and meet people. Okay, hopefully that's helpful for you, Rachel. Sending you lots of good Mercury retrograde vibes in your 5th house. Definitely it can be a good time to get back on the horse. All right, so I've got Brandon. What's up, Brandon? How's it going? Sounds like Brandon got a new apartment. He said, how will my stay at my new apartment be? Ooh, look at you. Let's take a look. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Let's see what the cards say for you, Brandon, in regards to your new apartment. This one. Ooh, I like this for you a lot. Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is kind of like, mom and dad are out of the house. I can finally do whatever I want, right? If I want to stay up all night and eat ice cream and Pop-Tarts and wear my pajamas, I can do whatever I want. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. So there is this sense of feeling free and having the ability to kind of do whatever you please. So I don't know if you're living by yourself. I don't know if this is just your first experience and kind of like having a little bit more freedom or having your own space or something like that. But to me, it seems lively, right? It seems like you're really excited about the opportunity of like what you can create and being able to just do as you please. So if you've been living with other people, living with family, if you felt burdened by that, now you have like more sense of freedom. It's also really good for you creatively. So the Page of Wands talks about the ability to kind of get your groove back in terms of like fitness, creativity, dating, having fun, like parties. Like this is more lively and things that you're initiating. So it does seem positive for you. It also feels like it's going to be an experience where you have the opportunity to express yourself through your space. So I don't know if you're like, now I can paint walls, or I'm putting my own art up, or nobody's going to tell me like what kind of blinds or sofas to get. Like there seems to be like an artistic kind of flair with you having your own space and really being able to enjoy being more creative and having control, and also just it being a little bit more fun and youthful and kind of like wild. So it's not something that's boring. I don't see you being lonely. I don't see it being something that's difficult. I see you like really, I can put my weird statues up. Whatever it is, it's like, you're like, okay, nobody's telling me what to do, you know? And I also feel like there's like a sense of warmth because this is a fire sign. So it's saying it's warm, it's inviting, it's playful, it's youthful, it's creative, but it's inviting. So also just maybe there's a fireplace, maybe you're focused on burning candles, maybe you want to paint, you know, one of the rooms orange or yellow, I don't know. But there is something that's like very warm and creative and inviting about it. And it's very unique and it's your own. So have fun with it. It sounds like it's gonna go well and it's gonna be a good period for you. Like you'll look back and like go, oh, remember when I had that apartment? Like that was mine, you know, before other people kind of came into my life, or I share it with somebody else in the future. Good luck. We have Miss Mooney. Then we have Glenn, Felicia, Margaret. You guys are all on deck. Jacqueline Mooney wants 3 cards. I don't know if you asked a question. Let me see. I thought I saw you earlier. Did I see you? I'm not sure. So are you here? I forgot to enter into my info. I'll post it when it gets to me. Okay, cool. So you're going to send that, I'm sure. Let me know what your question is, Jacqueline. Glenn wants to know, I'm from New York. Will I move to Colorado? And okay, cool. All right, what's your question, Jacqueline? Question about co-parenting issues. That sounds fun. All right. So let's see what the cards say here. Dad blocked all contact. Ooh. We're going to see lots of these mind games with Mercury and conjunct Mars. Mercury will conjunct Pluto. All right, so let's take a look. So what do the cards say about this issue with co-parenting? What is going to happen? How does she handle it? So it was in this order. Scorpio Sun, Libra Moon, and Rising. Okay, Leo Rising. So that's Saturn kicking in the 7th house. Well, Scorpio Sun, Libra Moon, and Rising. So children are connected to your 5th house. Saturn woke up in your 5th house, and you're going to see that depending on the degree of the sun, Saturn is still kind of in a square by sign to Sun in the 2nd and Uranus in the 8th, which is about possession of people, indoor children, stuff in regards to support also, like child support. Scorpio Sun, Virgo Moon, Leo Rising. So Saturn's going to go into his 7th, and he's also got Jupiter that is getting ready to go into his 9th. So watch for the eclipses because that can indicate lawsuits are coming. Are you in a relationship with someone else? Do you have somebody else that's like in touch with him, or are you talking to another man who's in touch with him or trying to get in touch with him? There's 2 kings coming up here. He's in a new relationship. Okay. But do you have someone, like, do you have contact with, oh, he is. Okay. So do you have somebody who's in contact with him? Like, are you talking to his parents? Are you trying to talk to his brother? Are you trying to talk to like a roommate? Like, is there another person that you're using to try and get in touch with him? Because it looks like you're weighing your option. You're like, do I do this? Do I not do this? I sent his girlfriend a message. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. With the 2 of Pentacles, it's like you being like, do I do this? Do I not do this? It also talks about a situation that's been out of balance, and that there can be a sense of you being like, okay, you know, there's not a lot of give and take. I'm just going to go out on a limb here. But that card seems to indicate even when you were not blocked, there was not a lot of fairness, or there was a sense of being like, okay, you're not going to do this, I'm going to do that, right? Like kind of like tit for tat with that 2 of Coins. This can also be you weighing your options in regards to your finances and being like, okay, do I financially do something, or do I make an investment to, you know, see to it that I remedy the situation? So that can be about discussing whether or not you're going to talk to an attorney, or you're going to, you know, pursue something which may be costly. Then you have the King of Wands coming up, which is interesting because, like I said, there's 2 people here, but this could be him as a Leo rising. King of Wands talks about somebody who can sometimes have a temper. So the King of Wands can be somebody who is reactionary. They can have a tendency to want to fight fire with fire. There can be a sense of them wanting order. They want something to go their way, or they're doing something to get a reaction. And then you've got the King of Swords coming up, which seems to be about communication, contact, but being really abrupt or being very direct about it. The confirmation card is a Queen of Pentacles. So I do feel like whatever you sent to her, she may try to appeal to him and be like, hey, like, are you going to say something? Or like, what's going on? Like, she might try to talk to him and kind of be reasonable, surprisingly. But I have a feeling that the King of Swords is more about you channeling that more masculine side of yourself, right? If you're a Libra rising, Libra moon, even though Libra is ruled by Venus, Libra is a masculine sign, okay? So off the bat, King of Swords is about finding your voice and being very direct about what it is that you have to say and getting something official. Likely that's going to be an official statement, or it's going to be you sending him an official letter, or you thinking about serving him with documents, or you giving him a warning and letting him know where you stand with things. He didn't show up for her birthday this week. Ugh, bummer. So when you say that he's blocked you, you have the kids, right? That's what's going on. And so you're just like reaching out to him because he's not communicating well with you. A lot of this is your transits right now with Saturn in your 5th house. It's like that hurts your heart and your inner child because you're finding that men, as Saturn squares your sun, are not behaving accordingly, and it's squaring Uranus. So it brings up a psychological effect in you. Yeah, you have her full time. Okay. I get it. I feel like the 2 of Coins then coming up is like you weighing your options as to whether or not you reach out to her or not. Personally, like the fact that there's 3 court cards coming up makes me feel like there's other people that are going to get involved here. You have to take into consideration, okay, what's going to start happening here now that Saturn is going into your 6th house and is going to start trining your sun is going to be about routine, patterns, assistance, help. Like, I hate to say this, but like I personally feel like this is going to be a situation where you're going to start getting more adamant about having a strict routine because Saturn also rules your 5th house. And Saturn's going to start sextiling Uranus, which means inevitably when he does come back around, or, you know, when things don't necessarily pan out in this relationship, or you start to kind of feel like he's off for a while and then he comes back online, you're going to be more adamant and more direct about being like, look, here's the deal. You're not just going to come and go. So if you're in, you're in, and here's the consistency, and here's how we're going to work together. If you're not, then this is the boundary. You're not going to be allowed to kind of have a revolving door, right? But still, I think whatever you said to whoever this woman is, it looks like she's going to say something to kind of appeal to him and kind of like try to talk to him about it. But unfortunately, like, you're going to have 2 years of Jupiter and Uranus in opposition to your sun. And the sun deals with men. It can be ex-husbands, it can be father figures, it can be bosses, it can be romantic partners that you might have. And oppositions from 2023 into 2027 seems to suggest that you're not going to see eye to eye when it comes to certain values, or when it comes to financial things, or when it comes to also possessions. Unfortunately, not a lot of people are going to agree with me, but in an astrology sense, this does talk about how he may be looking at a child as a possession. It's like, okay, I want her, I don't want her right now, right? Or I'm not agreeing with you, so therefore I'm not going to value that time that I have with my kid. Go and learn about Jupiter and Uranus in opposition to your sun. That's basically what's going to be happening right now. And it's because it's been squaring Saturn, it triggers a lot of things in regards to your self-esteem and also your inner child issues, if there's anything that's kind of unresolved from your childhood. Libra moon, obviously, and Libra moon that's connected to your ascendant means you're very sensitive and you're very emotional. Jupiter's going in your 7th house. It's opposing your ascendant. It's opposing your moon. So you're going to see the impatient, selfish, darker side of Aries with Jupiter in the 7th house, and you're going to feel like you want to tell people what's up. And I would say, don't worry about that right now. Wait till the eclipses happen in the spring. Focus more on being able to make a decision. It makes so much sense with you having a Libra moon, Libra ascendant, and then you got the 2 of Pentacles where you're like, do I say something? Do I not say something? Do I do something? If I do something, is it me not letting my kids see their father? Like, there's a sense of you over-analyzing it. Don't over-analyze it. Remove your feelings and your emotions from the situation and look at it more from a perspective of, is it healthy for him to be turning on and off his relationship with your kid? Probably not. So if that's what he's doing, you also want to make sure with Saturn in your 5th house that you're making her feel acknowledged and loved and wanted, and you're paying attention to her and you're protecting her. Part of protecting her might mean that you have to get serious with him and basically be like, you're in or you're out. And maybe we need to get something definitively on paper in terms of when you're seeing her and when you're not seeing her, and visitation, all that stuff. And we're going to abide by this. And if you don't, then this is going to be the boundary. So you're having more stability and consistency for your kid. And you're not the person who's going to be getting reactionary or taking a hit and worrying about whether or not, by being more stern with him, if you're keeping him from her, right? Because I don't really think that that's the case. It's just about consistency, developing consistency. Okay, that's a tough one. And I'm wondering who this other person is somehow. Some other man is what's coming up, may end up getting involved and, you know, trying to be the person who's like the go-between or talking to him about it. And it may mean that you decide down the road, especially with the eclipses in your 7th house, no, it's not your sternness. That's not what did this. And unfortunately, yeah, maybe it's his brother. There's going to be another man that's going to get involved that's going to help be like the middle ground. Jupiter rules your 3rd house of siblings, and it's in your 7th. So it can mean that there can be a sibling that can kind of help get involved, so that way you can communicate better. But no, you're not pushing him away. It's just, you can't have a dynamic in a situation where because you guys aren't getting along or you guys aren't communicating well that he's not seeing his kid. That's not going to work long term. Part of your responsibility with Saturn in your 5th house is to ensure that if that is happening, you're removing your ego from the situation and putting that aside and trying to co-parent. And if you can't, then there needs to be repercussions for that. Look at her chart too, especially if she's an only child, or if she's not, look at the youngest kid. And see what the dynamic is between the parents. You can track the transits to the youngest child. If she is your only kid, look at her transits in her chart. Look at what's going on with her sun, and also look at what's going on with Saturn, right? Or her 4th, 10th house axis. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. You're protecting her in the long run because you don't want to teach her that it's okay for men to come in and out of her life, right? Hopefully that's helpful. Good luck. We have got Glenn, Felicia, and then Margaret. Unfortunately, we closed readings for this evening, but we'll be back on Saturday. We're going to do astrology readings next week. All right, so Glenn, thank you for being patient, Glenn. I appreciate you. Glenn says, I am from New York, but will I move to Colorado? If yes, when? Let's take a look. Oh, couldn't have picked a better card, Glenn. That is the, if you saw earlier, that is the move card, right? That is the movement card, being in limbo. This does talk though about sometimes temporary spaces, temporary places, going there, staying there for a period of time, filling it out before making a decision. So I personally feel like for you, Six of Swords is saying, yes, you will move. That's the move card. That card, Eight of Cups, the Chariot, right? These are usually cards that come up that are my indicators for movement. This is a move card. But this does say that there is some sense of being like, okay, I might have to get rid of a bunch of stuff, or I'm selling something, or I'm downsizing, or I'm, like this is a move that's going to require a lot for me mentally before actually making this jump. I would look at the relocation. If you look at relocation astrology, that might be really helpful in terms of being like, okay, is this going to be a good move, or when is good timing? So look at also transits to your 4th house in your astrology and your 3rd house as well. But this is, you're going to be moving, but I'm wondering, is it going to be that you pick up and move all at one time? If there is some sense of mentally kind of having some concerns about, is it going to work? Is it going to be okay? Am I making a mistake? You will move, but there can be things that you can do to kind of calm that before you physically move there permanently. Sometimes the Six of Swords is about physically going somewhere and visiting there and spending a couple days or a couple weeks there. Sometimes it's about subleasing a place and renting somebody's place out to make sure that you like it there, right? This also talks about like, are you going to live near water? Do you want to be near a lake? Do you want to be near a river? Do you want to be near a stream? Because there's water here. And the emotions that come along with making a change and listening to your intuition and that being your guide when it comes to making that shift. Do you feel more comfortable there? Are you emotionally drawn to there? Is there a lot of emotions behind the reason why you're moving? But long story short, right? Basically, this is the guy who's ushering you across the river and getting you from point A to point B and moving on to calmer, sweeter, more safe and secure kind of times. So yes, for the move. Do consider spending time there first. Do consider looking at what you can do temporarily there just to make sure you like it. That's kind of the feeling that I'm kind of getting looking at this, okay? But yeah, where in Colorado are you considering going to? At least you're going from one cold place to another cold place. There's not going to be like a temperature shock or anything. I think it's just you're looking for peace, right? So I'm wondering, are you going from the city and you're wanting to be closer to nature? Or something that's going to kind of give you more serenity, right? Or just a fresh start. Sometimes this card comes up with a fresh start as well. Hopefully that's helpful for you. I have Felicia, Margaret, Carla, Richard, Elizabeth, Vanessa, and Serena. So if you guys are a part of that list, I've got you. Don't worry. Boulder or Aurora. Yeah, you're going for a fresh start. Go do it. Also, like, it's so cool. Like, so many people, if you're into astrology, the astrology community there is just booming, right? I think Chris Brennan is there. I know, I think Cam White's there. There's like a bunch of like astrology meetups and stuff there, right? And they're kind of like alternative and like weird, but who isn't these days? Yeah, Rachel, we got you. Don't worry. What's up, Kristen? Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too, babe. How's everything going with you? Yeah, huge astrology community there. I am super jealous that you're going there. Enjoy the mountains. All right, so here we go. We have got Felicia, followed by Margaret and Carla. Felicia, what's going on, girl? She says, Friday the 13th, tarot reading. FC says, Leo Sun, Leo Rising, Taurus Moon. I've been waiting for a breakthrough in terms of career. I want to get a reading for a general career outlook. You got it. You just got to wait until those eclipses happen in the spring in your 10th house, boo. And Jupiter's going to go there. You're going to be like, pa, pa, pa. Everything's going to start blowing up. You'll see. Jupiter, North Node, eclipses, all in your 10th house is all about career and expansion, right? And for a Leo, Jupiter rules your 5th house of self-employment, creativity, having fun. So let's see what the cards say for you. Real Food Munchies. I love your name. Just found your other channel, Midheaven. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for supporting. Okay, so here we go. So we have got the Nine of Wands, we have got, oops, in this direction, the Tower and the Four of Swords. Ah! Okay, so to me, and this makes sense because Uranus has been in your 10th house. The Mars North Node Uranus conjunction that we had over the summer was there as well. It's almost like there's been this kind of like that curveball, that curveball, that curveball, things that have been coming at you and you're like, I don't know how much more I can take of this. Like you're just constantly kind of feeling like you're battling, trying to get to the top. Part of this is because Saturn's been in your 7th house. So the 7th house is partnerships, relationships, clients, business partners, and also the 10th house deals with career and your public reputation. So Leo risings more than any other sign or any other placement, I feel like have been getting just kind of hit over and over and over all year. You're not going to see that as much in 2023. What I feel like is though that you're overcoming something, because the Nine of Wands is about like prevailing and being able to come out of a difficult period, even though you feel like you've gotten kind of beat up in the process. The Four of Swords is like you reflecting and resting and kind of looking at like, wow, maybe I have been doing too much. Maybe I have overworked. Maybe I am getting burnt out. Maybe I do need to take time to kind of like reflect. So right now that's where you're at. It makes sense. Because as a Leo rising, you're also having a Mercury retrograde that's in your 6th house of what do I want my schedule to be like and how is my health and where do I want to be working and how do I want to be more productive, right? So really think about that. You're going to be in that for the next couple weeks. Followed by the Tower card, which is the card that's connected sometimes with Uranus, sometimes with Mars. It really depends. But that's like a Tower moment of realizing like, wow, like if this isn't working, if this is not what I'm meant to do, then I need to topple it. I need to completely like restructure and figure out how to build something that's going to be stronger in the long term. Personally, for a lot of Leo risings, I've seen it more as the way that you guys have been working is not sustainable, right? So many Leo risings have been, there's a number of them on YouTube in the astrology community that have really been kind of getting hit hard with these squares and they've been struggling, and it's been hard to kind of watch some of these people because they've been like, I'm doing this, 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 and this for everybody, but this is what's crumbling in my own personal life. So what it's trying to get you to think about is like, are you working sustainably? Are you working in a way that you can keep working like this for a long period of time? Keep in mind that over the summer, especially in July, Pluto is going to go back into Capricorn. It's going to square the nodes. So that's going to bring up for you whether or not you're working in a healthy manner, right? I've been in this exact situation for quite some time. Will the Tower moment internally or externally? It's going to be about you making external shifts, like walking away from something. So the confirmation card that I got was the 8 of Cups. So it's like when something becomes so emotionally exhausting or like too much that you're just like, okay, done, right? You don't, I keep telling everybody, you guys don't want to wait for the Pluto square. When Pluto squares in July, a lot of people, because it'll be in cardinal signs, a lot of people are going to be like, oh shit, now what do I do? Now this situation is done. And as a Leo rising, you don't want it to be that you wait until there's massive layoffs at work. You don't want to wait until you have a health crisis. You don't want to wait until you make yourself really sick, right? Or you have a broken bone or something like that. That's what you don't want to wait for. And so I feel like the Tower moment is like you kind of realizing like, I can't just keep fighting for something because I've been here for so long, right? And the Tower moment's it's not a bad card. It's difficult because it's like what you thought was solid or what you thought was good or what you thought was meant to be. It's like there's like this epiphany and you realize it's not it. And I'm wondering with Uranus in your 10th house, it's like what you thought you were going to be doing forever, you're realizing you're not doing that forever, that it's going to change. That you're going to work for another company, that you're going to start your own business, that you're going to, you know, end up becoming interested in something else. The positive in this is that you got Jupiter going in your 9th house right now. So it's like, what are you learning? What do you believe in? What are you training for? How are you preparing yourself to make some of these changes that are going to be coming in May? For the most part though, because Jupiter rules your 5th house and it's about creativity and self-employment and having more opportunity to have fun, Jupiter Uranus in your 10th house is like having a job that you love and it's fun and it's creative and it's playful and like you can make money doing it, right? So that's where you're kind of sitting, especially May all the way through your birthday in this next year. So what if I told you that the Tower moment that's coming up is just really trying to kind of get your attention and make you realize that if it's not working, it's not working. It's okay to let it go. Because the 8 of Cups came up as the confirmation to kind of walk away from anything that's not emotionally fulfilling or not serving you.
But a lot of this stuff should be coming up for you right now, right? Because of the Mercury retrograde, it's conjunct Pluto. So watch when Mercury comes into conjunction at the beginning of February. I feel like this is closer to about May-ish. You're going to have an eclipse that's going to be taking place in your, depending on your midheaven. I don't know. It's going to be 29 degrees of Aries. So it can be really, really close to your midheaven potentially, depending on what degree it is. But that's when it's looking like a lot of this stuff is going to change. So don't feel like you have to hold on to something or stay in it just because you've put a lot of work and effort trying to hold it together. Like if something's meant to fall apart, it's going to fall apart. But at the end of the day, it's to bring you something that's going to be more stable, right? So it can just be, sometimes the tower for people is like that epiphany that's just like, wow, why am I still doing this? I'm not happy. It can be that simple. It doesn't have to be that the business closes or that you lose your job or whatever. It can be that there's something that shifts about the way that you look at what you're doing for work. This retrograde right now is making trines to the North Node and Uranus in your 10th house too. So take a look at your habits, your patterns, how you're eating, how you're sleeping, how you're treating your body, and ask yourself, is it worth it? That's what I would look at. You know, that's where the assistance is right now. Good luck. Unfortunately, we closed readings for the evening, so we are closed, but we'll be back on Saturday of next week. I can't see what comes next. Yeah, and guess what? The Tower card is like, you don't get to see what comes next. You have to just recognize it's not sustainable. Look for that Mercury retrograde in April going into May too. That's going to be about changes at work because it'll be in your 10th house. We've got Margaret. Margaret says, Pisces Sun, Cap Moon, Taurus Rising. Will I continue working for my sister or do I restart my acupuncture business or do I get a new money opportunity in the next 6 months? Oh, interesting. So working for sis, restarting your acupuncture business, or do you get a new money opportunity in the next 6 months? Let's look. Carla, Richard, and Elizabeth, you guys are on deck. So look alive. Okay, so we've got one. Sister is a triple Cancer. Holy cow. How does she hold it together? All right, so we've got the Knight of Pentacles, the Chariot, and the Wheel of Fortune. To be honest with you, it's interesting, the Chariot. That is a card that deals with Cancer. That's a card that also deals with family and things in regards to living in home situations. Knight of Pentacles comes up first. So this can be an omen or a message of new business opportunities and investments and being able to like initiate something, right? So looking at this, one of two things really come up pretty significantly. One is like you going, do I have the means and the wherewithal to potentially like really get serious about launching, you know, my acupuncture stuff? Is that something that I should be doing? Do I restart it? Especially because the Chariot's like, okay, let's go. And let's get all of our ducks in a line before we do it. The other thing is that the Knight of Pentacles is saying it may take money to get that up and running. It might take a loan or an investment. But good positive messages involving wealth and abundance are coming your way, especially June and July, because that's what the Chariot talks about. You might see that maybe it's starting in May and it runs through August, you know? But the Knight of Pentacles is like, we need to get something going. And it's something either that you're going back to or something new. My feeling on this is that I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's that you take a chance and look at restarting your own personal business because the Knight of Pentacles is like something that he's trained to do. And he goes and he makes the investment knowing that it's going to take about 6 months to kind of really fully blossom. The Chariot card then says, okay, you know, now that we've got that up and running and there's like money coming and there's new opportunities to be getting investments for other businesses as well. Yes. Interestingly enough, the Knight and the Chariot talks about movement. So I wonder if this is also like the potential for you to be doing something where you travel, as crazy as it sounds. Like instead of getting landlocked into a space and going, okay, I'm going to rent a room or I'm going to, you know, rent an office and see people in an office. Like, do you decide to make house calls? Do you decide that you are going to go and spend time in certain cities and that you're going to do stints in certain cities and you're going to do acupuncture? Do you go and work with like pop-up events where they're having other healers and other people that you potentially go and you do some kind of work and then you come back home, right? So there's something about home shifting, something about home changing. So the Knight of Pentacles I'm seeing what you said, my husband is relocating to North Carolina, can be like somebody coming and providing you with more assistance and more support. And he's going to bring the opportunity to help you make money. He's going to bring physical support, right? Because it's the earth element. And it's also about investing in what's going to be best for you personally and your immediate family, the Chariot. The Wheel of Fortune is it's a good omen. It's basically saying things are shaping up for the better. And I feel like a lot of this is going to be as a result of either making changes in your physical location with where you're living or somebody coming home, or it's going to be about you trusting your intuition and being like, yeah, I have a hunch that if I take a chance on this and I go back to it, it's going to generate income and I'm going to have the opportunity to have other people who want to help me grow something. So yes, especially because 6 months is literally going to be July. So that's when all of this stuff is going to start to hit. I wonder if it's a good idea for you to consider either teaching or traveling though, because I feel like there's something connected to this that you may really be able to find an opportunity to make money and more abundance through. And as he's coming home, start talking about what your goals are and realistically what you guys can achieve together, because it makes me feel like because you have either the physical or the financial support of somebody who's going to be with you, it's going to help give you the support that you need to really focus on some of your goals, because the Chariot's like feeling really emotionally motivated, really feeling like you want to get a hold of a situation, and the Wheel of Fortune is saying so that way you can reap the rewards of this opportune moment. So not so much in working with sister, you know, I mean, as a Cancer rising also that she is, the North Node and all the eclipses are going to go into her natal 10th house. So it's about her working independently. And the South Node's going to go through her 7th. So not as, the South Node's going to go through her 4th. North Node's going to be in the 10th. Pluto's in the 7th. So she's going to get hammered with some of these eclipses big time. And it's all about her learning to be more responsible for herself. And your cards look better for you going back to your thing and also being open to what new financial opportunities are going to kind of come your way over the summertime. So I think that's more the direction you're going in. Husband's also a Cancer rising, so this is big shifts for him in terms of his career. You know, Jupiter in the North Node in the 10th house can be him being like, I've got it. Focus on what you need to do, right? South Node Libra in the 4th, you know. So there can be a lot more of him taking responsibility and kind of stepping up. But it looks really positive, especially over the summertime. It looks like you're going to see some windows of opportunity that are going to open that seem kind of serendipitous, but they're going to allow you to kind of figure out where it is that you want to go, figuratively or literally. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Margaret. I've got Carla. What's up, Carla? Are you out there? Carla says, you're welcome, Margaret. Carla says, I would really appreciate it if my name isn't used during the reading. Sorry. I didn't see that until just now. I'm a Virgo rising. My specific person is a Scorpio rising, 27 degrees. So in Placidus, his chart lines up with Sag rising natal chart. I would like to know what's going on with our relationship. Should I move on, or is it just a matter of time? I'd like to know anything about my love life, marriage, and my soulmate, basically. Sorry, I didn't see that until just now. So one thing that I would say is that if this other person is a Scorpio rising at 27 degrees, you're going to see that Saturn now coming up in degrees in Aquarius is going into their 4th house, and it's going to square their ascendant and their descendant, which represents a period of needing to be alone, reflecting. They can be more moody and emotional, and it's going to impact their ability to communicate what they need within their home space. And Saturn's going to hang out in their 4th house for a little bit, right? As a Virgo rising, the Neptune in your 7th, the Mars square, that's also questions revolving around what direction relationships are going in, whether or not you could be with someone. Saturn going into your 7th house is definitely going to help you when it comes to getting more clarity in regards to committed relationships. But that Scorpio rising, watch the full moon. There's going to be obviously eclipses that are still happening in Scorpio and also in Taurus. So you're going to see that kind of pan out over these next couple of months. And if I remember correctly, let me double check this before I say this. There is going to be a new moon in Taurus. Yeah. There's going to be a new moon in Taurus on May 19th, 2023. And that is going to be at 28 degrees. So my eyes kind of got big because the rising sign is 27 degrees. So that means there's going to be a new moon, new opportunities in May for a relationship. So knowing that Saturn is going to hang out in the 4th, it's going to square the ascendant and ascendant, they may need more time to figure out what direction they're going in regards to a relationship. And for Scorpio risings, Uranus in their 7th, square Saturn in their 4th, just difficult in terms of communicating what they need in relationships. So let's see what the cards say for you. The Lovers card, the 8 of coins in the Tower makes another appearance. So we got 2 major arcana cards here. Lovers talks about choices, options, and kind of feeling like at a crossroads. You know, this card comes up when we're like, but I'm really in love with this person, but I really want to be with this person, but they're like my twin flame, they're my other half, what have you. But the Lovers also can talk about the temptation and like the truth of the matter and whether or not you want to know the truth of the matter and communicate what's really going on at hand. I'm question and wonder whether or not this is a situation, because a lot of Scorpio risings who have not been ready for relationships, or they haven't dealt with past relationship issues, or they've still been involved with people, have been dragging their feet the last couple of years with the squares to Saturn in the 4th, and they haven't let the past go, or they're still dealing with like emotions relating to family karma, right? So feeling like they're clearing out issues relating to how they were raised or their parents or what have you, what their examples have been in regards to relationships. The Lovers card does talk about being kind of at like a crossroads about this person, or whether or not there's another person that's involved or coming in. There's no court card, so it's not a situation where I'm like, oh yeah, they're seeing someone else. No, it's just kind of saying like you're needing to make a decision about whether or not you're going to go down this path with this person or not. Certainly a lot of attraction, a lot of draw here. The 8 of Pentacles is like perhaps you being adamant and being like, look, we can work through this. Anything is possible. As a Virgo rising, you've got Mercury retrograde in your 5th, so your love life's up for reevaluation. You're asking yourself what you love, whether or not something's working, or if you need to let it go, right? You'll see that over the next month. And Saturn's approaching your 7th house. So it's a serious time to kind of get down to business when it comes to really thinking about relationships. And some Virgo risings might look at this and go like, oh, well, love is work, right? And if I love somebody or if I want to be with them, I'm willing to do that work. Yeah, but as long as they're staying emotionally connected. So I see you being like, look, I know that it's a complicated situation. I know that there may be them kind of working through things from the past. I know that there's a connection here, but I'm willing to do that work, right? 8 of Pentacles. I'm willing to roll my sleeves up and do whatever I need to do to learn about relationships. But the warning here with the Tower card is that there can be a sense of you trying to work on something when somebody's not ready to do that work. Earth-shattering realizations. The confirmation card that I got was the 5 of Wands. And I think this is about you being like, we can fix this, or we can work through this. And this person being like, you can't fix this for me. Like, I need to fix this myself. Like, I need to be able to do that. Ask any other late degree Scorpio rising who's in the room, okay? It doesn't matter if they're single or if they're in a married relationship. The last year or so, there's been this realization that just having a relationship does not fix it. That person being there, even if they're ready and willing to be in the relationship, does not fix their problems. So there's emotional issues, there's family issues, there's something going on that they haven't dealt with, that they're keeping very private, that they're silently working through. And sometimes they need to be alone. You need to literally leave them alone, not reach out to them, give them some space. Or if you're, seeing them regularly, just be understanding that there can be a sense of them needing to kind of retreat a little bit. What's concerning with the Tower card coming up in the confirmation of the 5 of Wands is it's basically saying, if you try to say, we can fix this, I'll take care of this, it's going to be fine. If you're pushing it, the relationship in itself or the dynamic can shatter, right? So there can be a sense of it not staying together and like this earth, kind of shaking realization that's like, wow, this person's not ready for what I'm ready for. So once again, it's nothing personal to you. It's just, I think it's more the astrology. I also think the cards are kind of referencing, letting you know that foundationally, especially because Saturn's going through his 4th house, foundationally, if there's something that's wrong, like he needs to deal with it rather than just jumping into a relationship, because over the last 2 or 3 years, the Scorpio risings who either didn't deal with their past, or they didn't deal with their childhood, or they didn't deal with a living situation, or they didn't deal with a breakup, the ones who got into another relationship, the cracks start to show. Like you start to see that there's actually problems pertaining to, you know, patterns that they haven't fixed from previous relationships. And so that can create a bit of chaos in relationships. If you're one of those people who has gotten with him, knowing what's happened the last 2 or 3 years, it's important to like really be serious and like look at it with a fresh set of eyes and not convince yourself that it's fixable as long as you jump in and intervene. Saturn in the 4th means they can be closed off emotionally. It's hard for them to communicate their needs. They just need a little bit of space. Just be very careful with this, because it's saying even though you're willing to do the work, you need somebody else who's willing to do the work as well, okay? But be careful with this card coming up, because it is saying that things can kind of break or fall apart. He will be more so relationship ready-ish. He'll be more ready after that new moon in the 7th house in his chart, and Jupiter is going to go into his 7th house next year. So he'll be more capable of communicating and talking about how he's feeling and what he needs. And I also get the feeling that he may explain to you what he was doing in the time that you guys weren't as in communication as much, or why he was going through things and not communicating and speaking out. He should be able to tell you that by then. Okay? Good luck. That's definitely a difficult one for sure. I've got Richard, Elizabeth, and Vanessa, and then Serena. So Richard says, 3-card tarot reading live on YouTube. Curious where I stand now and where I should be focusing my energy. Great question. What's up, Melissa? Let's see, Lauren, what is are you Richard? It's got to be you, right? Because I've got an Elizabeth, a Vanessa, and a Serena, so I'm going to assume that's you. Didn't know how detailed it needed to be. I'm a Cancer Sun, Aqua Moon, Cap Rising, Moon in the 1st house. I'm just really lost at the moment. Recently shut down my business and was laid off from my full-time job. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so you're a Cap Rising, retrograde there. Aqua Moon in your 2nd house, so Saturn hitting your moon-ish. And then Cancer Sun, so that's in your 7th house. Well, the good news is, I mean, as a Cap Rising, you're going to really be feeling the nodal shifts that are coming the next couple months, okay? So it's not going to be till the summer, but when the North and the South node move, it's going to square Pluto in your 1st house, which is about you changing and transforming. So this is a process you're going to go through. And it's also equally going to square your Sun, which is going to be really highlighting the need to maybe looking at new types of work, maybe looking at a new schedule, right? That's another way that this can kind of manifest. But let's take a look at what the cards have to say. It's also Mars stationing. So if you're Capricorn rising, Mars stationing in your 6th house is a couple jobs, one job ending, another job ending, right? Gemini is 2. So let's see what the cards say for you. I get 3 of Cups, the World card, and the Magician. Wow. This is actually really positive. So, you know, change always comes in 3s. You change your job, change relationship, change where you're living, right? So look for this to be happening in 3s, or it can be that the 2 have already hit with both of the jobs changing. 3 of Cups is positive time, celebrating, coming together with other people and having some kind of union or unity. So other people banding together and helping you throughout this time. The World card coming up is like celebrating that something completed. So obviously it's a bummer to get laid off, or it's a bummer to, you know, have to close down a business, but it's saying that these things are complete. Oh, and you moved in September. Okay, so something else might be coming. But the World card is positive changes, positive endings, kind of closing things out and being like, okay, that's behind me. What's next? I think that for you, being a Cap rising and Pluto is transiting your first house, Pluto's connected to your 11th house of strong and powerful people. So people who you can be connected to. So friends that can help you, networks, joining companies or groups or websites that are going to also help you with employment. But this is the time to be like rallying with other people, having people around you that can help support you. And the Magician's coming up, so it's saying it's like now anything is possible. So it's kind of like, yeah, when you've cleared the decks like that, where you're like, okay, well now we don't have any business, so what do I create? Once Mars starts waking up, and I think it starts making some more positive aspects, it's going to start sextiling Jupiter here in the next week or two. That's also really getting you amped up and going, well, what can I do from home? Or, do I go back home? Or do I work with family? Do I get involved in real estate, right? Like, what can I do? And I would say it can be like an at-home business that you're starting, something that can be like more digital, right? Mars and Gemini in the 6th. You also want to analyze your 10th house lord and how it's kind of situated. But for the most part, going in this next year, the South Node's going to go into Libra in your 10th house. The North Node's going to go into Aries in your 4th. And Jupiter's going to hit that. So you'll start thinking about, can I do an at-home business? Can I do some kind of work with my family? Do I get involved in houses or flipping things? Do I go to a family business? Do I relocate and live in another country? Jupiter rules your 12th. It's a really great time also for like spiritual type of work or anything. Yeah, 12th house can be, doing stuff that you would film. So YouTube can be really great. But I feel like it's about kind of getting situated with a community and other people who can kind of help you. So maybe joining groups and associations or other people you might be following or learning from that can teach you more. And the Magician's like as above, so below. So if you're envisioning something and you're like, I have this idea, this is what I want to create, like it's about bringing that out and making it real, kind of grounding all of that out for you, so to say. Especially now it's the turn of the year. So with the World card, we see a real emphasis on Aquarius and Scorpio and Taurus and Leo. So during these points, we're coming into Aquarius season. That might be a really pivotal time. You're going to have a new moon that's going to be conjunct Pluto. It's going to be in your 2nd house of money. So you're focusing on your talents and your resources and how you can bring more in. So get creative and start envisioning, create a vision board and start trying to figure out new ways that you can be able to use your talents to be able to draw the attention of other people and also become part of a community and celebrate the fact that that stuff ended, you got it out of the way, so that way you can kind of get situated with something that's new. Because it seems like the fresh start is actually like really exciting, even though there's a lot of question marks right now. And it's going to give you the opportunity to really focus on manifesting new life and what you're doing with your energy. Be mindful of your thoughts with this card because your thoughts are creating your reality. So it's like, okay, that ended, so now I'm on to my next adventure. Like you literally have to be talking to yourself like this right now. So you're really wrapping all of that stuff up with the retrograde, knowing that, okay, that's in the past. Now you're moving on to what's in the future. And many opportunities that are going to be available to you depending on how you play this, because you have a number of talents that can be utilized right now to be able to kind of make something new happen. Watch for the eclipses that are going to start happening in your 10th house, especially. But knowing that Jupiter's your 12th house lord and it's going to go into your 7th, filming and creating things or educational things or teaching people things on YouTube can be really great. It looks like it's a good move. Good luck. Good luck with that. YouTube is always an interesting place to try to make it. It basically means if you're going to shoot something. So if you're going to try to do something that you're more emotionally connected to, or you're going to film something, or if you want to work from home, these things can definitely be something that you can do. But there is a need for you to be focusing on visualizing and talking to yourself about what you're creating. So when you talk about manifesting, you're talking about it in the I am doing this. I am, creating a successful YouTube channel. I am that kind of stuff. There's a sense of like needing to talk about it like that. All right, so we've got Elizabeth. She says, general, please. General, please. Let's see what the cards say for you. You're welcome, Lauren. Good luck. All right, so this is for Elizabeth. She wants a general. 5 of Wands. Feeling like it's coming at you from all different angles. Obviously, fives can talk about combativeness, frustration, kind of feeling like you're coming up against something. Literally, you've got a bunch of people that are like, oh, like, what are you doing here? What's going on? So there's a sense of you feeling a little like challenged or beat down right now, especially when it comes to like creativity or your love life or just your energy levels. Maybe having a difficult time feeling like there's so much resistance or things that you're literally trying to push through or you're trying to move through. Once again, another Cap rising. So having the retrograde in your ascendant, having a Mars retrograde in your sixth, it does talk about accidents, injuries, delays, setbacks, frustrations, right? Both of these planets are going to be direct soon. So about another week or so, we're going to see Mercury get ready to go direct. For you personally also, as a Scorpio sun, what you're going to be finding is that the planets moving through Aquarius are fourth house to your sun. So it represents frustration and emotions, okay? But it's landing in your second house because you're a Capricorn rising. So frustrated about finances, resources, friends, feeling like there is a sense of you having to fight really hard for something, trying to be able to make something happen. Watch for hostility and combativeness, like having that around you right now during a Mercury retrograde. Any Cap rising right now is going to be more sensitive to what they're absorbing. And you guys need more of an outlet physically. So if you're around people who are kind of negative or confrontational, or there's like a lot of conflict, you're going to be like, I need some space. If you're feeling that frustration kind of bubbling up within you, it's about having an outlet and not allowing yourself to kind of let that impact your aura. That sounds like really hokey, but literally, like, be mindful of your moods right now, because you can be carrying that around with you, and find an outlet for some of this energy, right? Rather than taking it into work, like, you know, take it to the gym, go for a walk, like find a way to be able to kind of burn off some of this extra energy. Caps and Cap risings and Gemini risings are dealing with this majorly, because as Mercury is stationing, it's going to be in conjunct Mars for a period of time. I did a video on Mercury quincunx Mars and the frustration with not being able to communicate. So you might find that there's no words, you're just frustrated. Go watch that video. That can be really helpful for you. And just be mindful that if you're carrying that energy around, you're going to kind of be, I'm not going to say manifesting it, but you're going to notice that there's just going to be even like more accidents, agitations, frustrations around you. So there's like a need to like really kind of disconnect from that. And where there's frustrations or where there's challenges, it's encouraging you to learn how to communicate differently and how to express yourself differently, how to express your frustrations differently, not to let it stay in the body. Like, that's the big thing that I think you're learning, is like not to let it stay in the body, not to carry it with you to work, not to bring issues with work home, and how you're finding other ways to be productive so you can kind of clear out some of this like mental energy, because Mercury retrograde on your ascendant feels like a little mental, right? And be responsible for the energy that you're carrying around. Make an effort to clear it more. I think Mars retrograde in the sixth house is, finding difficulties getting back to work, finding difficulties kicking a habit, finding difficulties dealing with a health-related issue, right? But it's mind over matter. And so what you're going to be learning is that if you're walking, if you have mantras, if you're journaling, if you're finding healthy outlets for this, you're going to feel that you're less frustrated, and you're not going to be focusing on the frustration. Therefore, you're not going to be just seeing that all of the time. And you're going to be able to work out of the pattern of only seeing what's not working, basically, right? Yeah. Melissa says, Gemini rising. Yeah, you guys have the in conjunct very personally. So it affects your body, it affects your health, it affects your work. Avoid that conflict. Get some sage spray. Hopefully that's helpful, Elizabeth. Sending you lots of good work vibes, and hopefully you have an outlet. Vanessa came back for a third serving. She said, follow-up question. How can I get through the times he's a tough cookie and very stubborn? You mentioned for me to go rogue and that'll give him a light bulb moment, but am I better? Like, I better ship up or I'm going to lose her. Shape up or I'm going to lose her. He never sets up any dates and it sucks. Okay, let's take a look. So how does she get through to the Virgo when he becomes tough and stubborn? So the thing that I will say about this card is that it does talk about confusion. It does talk about different potentials. It does talk about different variables. So when you're asking me, how do I get through it? You don't want to let your mind play tricks on you and go like, oh my God, it must be because he doesn't care. It must be because there's another person or he's not telling me something. Like, don't go in that direction automatically, because that's going to send you into a bit of a spiral. This card also talks about the ability to talk about different potentials. So when he gets tough, I would be like, hey, is everything okay? Is there anything on your mind? You want to talk about it? You know, like giving him the opportunity rather than just getting overwhelmed. And I think this is like a Virgo thing in general. Virgos can have a tendency to be like, oh my God, I seem fine and I have it all together. And they're really good at keeping it together on the outside, but sometimes on the inside, they're just totally beating themselves up. Like they're their own worst inner critic. And so he may be kind of in this spot where he's like, I've got so much on my mind and this is going on and that's going on and this is going on and that's going on. I don't know how to talk about it. And maybe it's a matter of pulling him out of it and being like, hey, it seems like you've got a lot going on. Like, do you just want to talk about it? Like, what's going on? Putting it out there and giving him the opportunity to let him know that if he just wants to talk, that you're not going to be judgmental, that you're there to kind of hear him out and to kind of assist him and maybe help give him feedback or give him clarity. And also letting him know, like, I'm not a mind reader, right? Like, I don't know what's going on with you, so I'm not going to force you to come forward with any information or feel like you have to talk to me or tell me what's going on, but I am here and, you know, I'm not going to make assumptions, but it's kind of hard to know what you're thinking when you just kind of leave this up in the air, right? So do you want to talk about it? And letting him know that it's okay for him to open up that dialogue with you when he's getting kind of overwhelmed, because I think there's a sense of getting overwhelmed. But sometimes this card also comes up when somebody is not self-aware or when they're drinking or drugging or partying or they're intoxicated. The card that came up was the Ace of Swords, is the confirmation. So I think it's about kind of saying like, hey, I don't want to assume worst case scenario, or I don't want to assume that you're doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like hard for me. So I'm just letting you know, like when I'm not hearing from you, I'm thinking about you. And if you're going through something, I'd rather hear you talk to me about it than hear nothing at all. And just letting him know that you're there for that. Right? Using your words and being able to direct that and cut through the fog, and letting him know that you're not going to make assumptions and you're not going to go to worst case scenario. Good luck. We've got Serena. I think she's the last one. She got a 3-card reading. Let's see. And my PayPal is like being possessed. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Serena says, 3-card tarot, can you please tell me where mine and my husband's relationship is going? We keep trying to make it work, but it seems like we have been arguing so much lately. All right, I'm sorry to hear that. Let's take a look. Let's see what's up. So what did the cards say about where the direction is going with Serena and her husband? They've been having some conflict recently. Can you give us any insight in terms of what the future may hold? Four of Wands, Ace of Wands, Four of Coins. Okay, so those fours are pretty stable. That's helpful. All right, so here's the deal. Fours are solid. Think of squares. There's 4 points. They're grounded. They're not going anywhere. The Four of Coins coming up as your confirmation card makes me feel like you guys aren't going to let go of each other. There isn't going to be separation. I don't see a split. There's nothing like that. Both parties are too physically or time-wise or financially invested. You guys aren't going to, yeah, that's not going to happen. But that being the ending card is saying there's something that's not flowing, right? So what are y'all holding on to? Is there a sense of arguing over money, arguing over savings, arguing over spending? Like, is there a financial side to this? Is there somebody who's unwilling to let something go, or who's kind of holding grudges or holding back or kind of being blocked? Like they're not opening up, right? The Four of Coins isn't open. But the cards start with the Four of Wands and the Ace of Wands. And so the Four of Wands is the marriage card. So that is a card that gets come up so many times this evening. Sometimes you guys will see during the lives, we'll just see like the same card come over and over. It's a positive card. It does talk about happier times, like cutting loose, having a good time. Like this is literally like, look, you guys are married. That's not going to change. You're not going anywhere. And I think it talks about getting out there and like doing something fun to kind of break this energy up. Right? Four of Wands also is temporary. So it says it is temporary, whatever you guys are going through. There's been a lot of conflicts with the Mars retrograde the last couple of months. A lot of people have been arguing more than usual. I've heard this across the board. And I think that the Ace of Wands is talking about new energy, new life, new Mars energy, like what you guys do with that frustration. How do you learn to transmute that? Maybe you do need to book like a regular reoccurring date night. Maybe you guys need to go and do an activity together. Right? Do you guys go to a batting cage? Do you decide that you're going to work out together? Do you guys decide that you're going to go hiking together? Are you guys going to go on a trip together? There is a way to transmute this and take that frustration and some of that energy that's been coming out and like transform it into active energy or transform it into more sexual energy, because the Four of Wands and the Ace of Wands coming up together is like we need to go out and have like a good time and have an evening and like feel like we can like reconnect in a way that's going to be fun and passionate and creative. And like, I'm not saying forgive and just let it go and like not address the problems, but it's like, do you want to hold on to the frustration and the anger and keep it going so it's just a never-ending roll of arguments? Or do you want to be like, okay, like we obviously need a break in our routine, like let's go away and do something for the weekend, or let's start going out once a week and getting active together and focusing on being able to have more togetherness. It is new opportunities with the Ace of Wands. The Four of Coins does say that there can be a sense of somebody who's really fixed and rigid in their ways. And when it comes to the relationship or financial matters, or somebody who's like having a hard time, they're harboring anger or resentment from the past, or they're unwilling to let a situation go, right? The question is it you or is it him? We have the King of Wands. So likely it's possible that it can be him. This can also be feeling a little frustrated because there can be a lack of intimacy or a lack of connection or a lack of fun or a lack of appreciation. So we don't just sweep stuff under the rug, but it's like I said, in the grand scheme of things, y'all are going to stay married. I don't see you guys separating. This is a temporary thing. In order to combat this, you guys can either stay angry and you can stay in this habitual cycle, or you can break out of it and go, we're going to go and do something. We're going to blow off some steam and find ways to introduce this fire energy into the relationship and kind of like make lemonade, right? Like maybe you guys do need to, you know, go and take a kickboxing class, or maybe you guys do need to go and feel like you can do something that's going to kind of release some of this energy, but focus on being able to have fun and like reigniting something. And try to encourage him not to harbor feelings of like resentment or like be holding on to things. Like y'all can't be not forgiving each other and carrying like, you know, like like some kind of like resentment, or you have a grudge. Like that can't be happening, because the Four of Coins is definitely that card. And it may take some time to kind of defrost the relationship, because that's like a sense of being like, no, I don't want to, but like having fun and introducing more playfulness can definitely help. Serena says, my mother passed away when he wasn't there with me when I needed him the most. He was doing other things and it's hard for me to forget. So, okay. My advice would be then, you know, when you're dealing with fire element that's like repressed and it's not dealt with, and if there is anger and there is frustration, then there is a need to kind of air that out, right? But I also feel like the Four of Wands and the Ace of Wands is saying that there's going to be new life that's going to come from this. So yes, obviously that's really difficult, especially during a time of need, but it makes me feel like there is opportunities for you guys to kind of re-jumpstart this. If it's you then with the Four of Coins, it's having a difficult time letting it go, you need to let him know. Like carrying that around and not really addressing it and telling him is only going to make the situation more difficult, and it's going to make it harder. Especially if you feel like he's just smoothing things over and trying to do things to be like, everything's good, we're fine here, let's move on. But the Four of Coins is saying don't let that be something that kind of cools off the relationship and hardens. Like you got to get it out there. So even if you're afraid that it's going to be conflict and that he may not respond well to it, and like you said, if you feel like he was doing other things, it's totally understandable, but there is a need to talk about it. And also, Like I said, Ace of Wands is new life. It's fresh, new energy. So this can mean you saying to him, we're married, but this dynamic of what's going on right now, it's not working for me. Fire can be used for purification. So it can be like you guys have this hash out where you get angry and you tell him that, you know, you've been angry and that you're not getting over it and that you're still dealing with grief. And on top of that, now, you know, you're mad at him. So you guys can really finally talk about it and be able to kind of move forward, giving him the opportunity to realize how upset you are, but also to take action and to fix it. Right? To actively fix it. And this might be a turning point in the relationship where you're like, okay, this is from here on out, this is the changes that we're making in this relationship, you know, if something's not working for you. But none of the cards seem to suggest that you guys are going to split. I don't really see that happening. Can take about 4 months for you guys to work through this though, okay? Especially with that 4 of coins. Don't carry it around. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your body. And it's going to come out one way or another because there's a lot of fire in this spread. So you don't want it to come out through anger or through an argument. You want to sit down and be like, I'm angry and I'm having a difficult time processing it. I need you to know that. So that way he can actively do something about it, right? Difficult, sending you lots of love. That's difficult, losing a parent. I'm sorry to hear that. But I am optimistic that you guys can like work through this and that this can be like a rebirth period for the relationship with that ace coming up. Thank you for donating and for supporting the channel. I appreciate it and spending your guys' Friday night with me. Just a couple things really quick. So we're going to have the Sunday video come out, the astro weather. That'll be out Sunday morning. So if you guys want to check that, check it out. We've got a new moon coming up soon. So I think I'm going to be talking about that and the Sun-Pluto conjunction this next week. It's not too late if you want to learn how to track transits and read astrology as a part of my live course. So if you guys head over to my website, the links are below. I have some openings left for level 2 astrology. So if you want to learn transits and return charts and learn all the tips and the tricks for being able to predict with astrology, there is room for some more students to sign up. We're going to start on next Sunday, so it's going to be 8 consecutive weeks where we're going to be in my live classroom where we're going to be working with a group of students, learning some of these predictive techniques. So if you guys want to learn how to do that, you can. If you like my reading style, and if you guys want to learn how to read tarot, I have a tarot course there as well. So if you guys want to check that out, you can. And I'm running a special right now for those of you guys interested in astrology. I'm doing a special that's 50% off. So it's going to be a mini audio report on all of the personal transits that are going on in 2023. So those of you guys who are having a Saturn return or a Jupiter return, or if you happen to be a Scorpio or a Taurus or an Aries or a Libra, if you saw my 2023 presentation, I talk about all the big transits. So you can go to my website if you want to know and get a personal audio reading from me. I have that on my website as well. I'm only going to be offering it in January. After that, I'm not going to be running the special. So if you guys want to get that report, do consider doing that. I would love to read for you. Otherwise, I'll see all of you guys very soon. Catch me next week for astrology, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.